Chapter 1985. However, by the time Yuan Tai startled to his senses, it was already too late. The other party had already completed his move, and his momentum was gone. As Yuan Tai grasped the sword hilt with his right hand, sweat continuously dripped down his forehead. You really talk big. Yuan Tai's palm was covered in sweat. At this moment he felt that the sword hilt was incredibly heavy. However, he did not dare to draw it. That is very possible. No matter what, the White Dragon Palace is stronger than the Heaven Dragon Palace. Even Lu Yunfei used only one move. He definitely needed only half a move. Given Yuan Tai's strength, he should have been able to dodge this sword strike. Lu Ruyan exclaimed in pleasant surprise. This sword strike was indeed beautiful, inspiring admiration. You lost. Suddenly, a cold shout filled with energy came from outside Twin Moon Lake. It's the Golden Dragon Palace's people. It seems to be Qin Outyin and Li Feng. Xiaochen stood up and glanced at Su Fuguan, who challenged him earlier. Then he looked at Li Feng and said, You came at the right time. Since that is the case, the two of you can come at me together. If you win, I will return the dragon pattern battle suit. That earlier move was somewhat lucky. Don't make it sound too ridiculous. Objectively speaking, if Lu Yunfei wanted to fight, he could fight for another few hundred moves without losing. However, this Heaven Dragon Palace disciple is actually a sword cultivator. It is hard to say how many moves he can last. Lu Feng did not stand on ceremony. He instantly drew his sword, and his figure soared into the air, turning into a beam of sword light as he charged at the dragon. Xiaochen did not say anything, not bothering with him. Everyone knew that Xiaochen was not weak. However, no one knew exactly how strong he was. If Xiaochen had not underestimated the other party, he would have reacted the moment Lu Feng drew his sword. Before the strange phenomenon of 3 moons could shock everyone, Lu Ruyan arrived beside Xiaochen. Lu Ruyan asked softly as she arrived beside Xiaochen. However, it was normal for Xiaochen to be somewhat cocky with the strength he displayed. This was also a swordsman's basic technique. As long as it was a strong sword move, it had to be a straight thrust in the end, unleashing its might. Just as Lu Ruyan's mind went blank, thinking about how to embarrass himself and how to face it, a shout startled him to his senses. The Silver Dragon Palace disciples all had strong confidence in the sword Dao. Xiaochen thought for a moment and said in a deep voice, Lu Feng. Seeing Xiaochen admit to it so openly, Qin Outyin raged. Senior brotherly, there is no need to waste your breath. Just take him down. If anything happens, I will take responsibility for it. Yuan Tai was quite confident. He raised his hand and said, You first. That Li Feng seems to rank within the top 10 of the Golden Dragon Palace. In the Heaven Dragon Hall, Xiaochen and the others also did not know how strong Lu Feng was. The Silver Dragon Palace was famous for its sword Dao. However, Lu Feng completely suppressed its sword Dao. Xiaochen refused indifferently, I'll bet on a sure win situation. This was because he discovered to his horror that he couldn't dodge this stab. This was a move that all swordsmen knew, a straight thrust. When the Silver Dragon Palace's people heard this, they immediately felt upset. In the blink of an eye, the entire area was filled with boundless sword qi, accompanied by the moonlight that filled the sky. Petals flew everywhere, dancing chaotically in the 9 heavens. Lu Feng smiled faintly and sheathed his sword. This is just a small matter. Is there a need for Senior Brother Qin to make a move? I alone am enough. The White Dragon Palace's first senior brother smiled faintly and said, Brother Su, fortunately, you did not bet. Otherwise, you would have lost miserably. Xiaochen nodded, not denying it. Senior brother Yuan Tai might be able to defeat this Heaven Dragon Palace disciple with just half a move. The Silver Dragon Palace's second senior brother, Su Fuguan, showed a sullen expression. He looked at Xiaochen and said, Saying 1,000 words and saying 1,000 things is not as good as having a real fight. Xiaochen, right? Do you dare to exchange moves with me? Let me see the might of the Supreme Dragon Fist. Defeated. First senior brother. What's wrong? Su Fuguan asked, feeling confused. Qin Outyin? If I recall correctly, he is Qin Mu's younger brother. What is he doing here? Xiaochen said sullenly. Although I have not seen Lu Feng make a move, from the start to the end, He did not treat Yuan Tai as a match. A person with such foresight is either ridiculously strong or arrogant. I do not think he is the latter. After Yuan Tai underestimated his opponent, Lu Feng completely suppressed his sword move. The moment the other party drew his sword, Yuan Tai was already defeated. Such a setback was even more sullen than when he defeated Lu Yunfei. The Silver Dragon Palace has some understanding people. However, when it was Yuan Tai's turn, he suffered a complete defeat. He could not even draw his sword. Yuan Tai's body trembled slightly, feeling humiliated and extremely dissatisfied. After all, Yuan Tai was a Silver Dragon Palace Heaven-class core disciple. For Yuan Tai to be the first to fight, he had to be confident. This showed how horrifying Lu Feng's sword Dao cultivation was. Humph. If you are afraid of losing, just say so. However, just at this moment, Yuan Shi, who had been paying attention to the battle on the flower-filled island, said softly, his expression changing slightly. Junior brother Yuan Tai is going to lose. Yuan Shi said softly as his expression returned to normal. He didn't say anything else. However, Lu Feng's sword pressed against Yuan Tai's chest. If Lu Feng had advanced another centimeter, the strong sword intent would have crushed Yuan Shi into dust. Yuan Shi raised his head and asked, "Why are the two of you here?" Two figures arrived uninvited, soaring through the air. Only when they landed on the flower-filled island did people see their appearances. Xiaochen, you are right. These people were definitely famous in the Silver Dragon Palace. Xiaochen, who do you think will win? This Li Feng could rank within the top 10 in the Golden Dragon Palace. If he went to the other outer palaces, he would have no problem ranking within the top 3. Yuan Tai appeared cocky after forcing back Lu Yunfei with one move. There was no point in inviting the Golden Dragon Palace over. Not to mention whether the other party would come or not. Even if he did, he would just be asking for trouble if he got beaten up. The others were not familiar with Lu Feng. It was not just the people from the White Dragon Palace and the Silver Dragon Palace who did not know. Since this is the Qin clan's matter, why is Qin Outyan not coming? Second senior brother Su Fuguan said coldly. He has not even seen the other party make a move. Yet he dares to say that he is the victor. This is very interesting. Do you dare to make a bet with me? I bet that junior brother Yuan Tai will definitely win this round. Why? Lu Ruyan found this slightly strange. When she looked over, she did not see any advantage in Lu Feng. However, Xiaochen answered so many questions. Xiaochen was rather interested in this battle. It was rare for a swordsman to have such a calm state of mind. Lu Feng and Yuan Tai already stood firmly on Crescent Moon Lake, each holding a sword. The other party's thrust looked ordinary. However, it was secretly compatible with the world. The other party's sword move had already invaded the lake, the bright moon, and the night sky without anyone realizing it. Give me another chance. Even if my sword techniques are not as good as yours, I will not lose in such a miserable manner. The Golden Dragon Palace firmly suppressed the other 6 outer palaces, just like how the Golden Dragon Palace's Qin Mu firmly suppressed the other 3 outer palace experts. Just as the few of them were feeling surprised, the smile on Yuan Tai's face suddenly froze. The sword move from that earlier sword move instantly exploded. 2 bright moons immediately rose up from Crescent Moon Lake. Li Feng said proudly. When Yuan Tai saw the situation, he could not help mocking. A swordsman of the Heaven Dragon Palace cannot even execute a decent sword technique. Never mind. Since you want to play with the basics, I'll play with you. One dragon pattern battle suit. Yuan Tai lost just like that? Oh no. Suddenly Yuan Shi, who was on the flower-filled island, said, Yuan Tai, stop embarrassing yourself. If I give you another chance, you will only lose even more miserably. You even lost the sharpness of a swordsman, and you still want to turn the situation around? Did you toss aside the education that the Silver Dragon Palace gave you? No matter how Yuan Tai drew his sword, the moment he drew it, the other party's sword would strike his heart. Li Feng glanced at Xiaochen and said, Senior brother asked me to do this? I only came to take something from my Qin clan, and it is in his hands. At the very least, the other party clearly had a lot of energy to spare, taking the initiative to admit defeat. Anyone with eyes could tell that Yuan Tai did not lose too badly. Yuan Tai said, feeling somewhat dissatisfied. However, most people could tell that even if Yuan Tai had not underestimated Lu Feng, he would have lost extremely miserably. Xiao Chen raised his eyebrows and said softly, "There is no need to use the Supreme Dragon Fist to deal with you." Yuan Shi felt confused. It seemed like the Silver Dragon Palace did not invite the Golden Dragon Palace. Upon seeing this scene, the others suddenly startled awake. Why did Yuan Tai lose so miserably? Why could he not even draw his sword? Yuan Shi frowned slightly. Then he looked at Xiao Chen and said, "Xiao Chen, the Qin clan really has something in your hands." Chapter 1986. The moment Xiao Chen said that, the crowd on the flower-filled island burst into an uproar. To think that Xiao Chen wanted to fight one against two. One of them was even a Golden Dragon Palace expert. This is my hearing bad? Did I hear wrong? If Yuan Shi or the White Dragon Palace's Ling Xiao had said this, it would have been fine. After all, they were cultivators with divine dragon bloodlines. However, Xiao Chen was a Heaven Dragon Palace Heaven-class core disciple with a mixed blood dragon bloodline. Where did he get his confidence from? Even Yuan Shi could not help feeling slightly stunned. He asked sullenly, "Xiao Chen, do you know what you are saying?" Xiao Chen nodded and said, "I am very clear. Your Silver Dragon Palace's Su Fuguan wants to fight me, and the Golden Dragon Palace's Li Feng wants to seek trouble for me as well. We can deal with them together to avoid trouble. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that?" The others were stunned when they heard that. There was nothing wrong with Xiao Chen's words. Since the trouble came together, it would be best to deal with it together. Everyone would think that way. However, the problem was that Xiao Chen was a Heaven Dragon Palace disciple, just a mixed blood dragon. Of course, everyone only thought this in their hearts, and would not say it out loud. However, everyone looked at Xiao Chen like he was a madman. Actually, there was no need to say anything to know what they were thinking. Li Feng said coldly, "The Heaven Dragon Palace does not need the help of the other palaces when it comes to its matters." Su Fuguan felt somewhat upset at Xiao Chen's words. He retorted, "I am challenging this fellow, and I do not need you to interfere. This is the Silver Dragon Palace, not your Golden Dragon Palace. If there is anything, wait until after I fight with him." Yuan Shi felt a headache coming on. He impatiently waved his hand and said, "Cut the crap. Come at me together. Let me see how strong the person who comprehended the Supreme Dragon Fist is." Yuan Shi's tone contained some displeasure. This displeasure stemmed from Lu Ruyin being too close to Xiao Chen, upsetting Yuan Shi. Furthermore, Xiao Chen's attitude made him feel disdain. Since Yuan Shi spoke, Li Feng and Su Fuguan hesitated for a moment before leaping onto the water at the same time. For Li Feng, he only needed to retrieve the dragon pattern battle suit and report to Qin Mu. Although he did not feel good about teaming up with Su Fuguan, it was better to end the battle quickly. As for Su Fuguan, he could sense his eldest senior brother's displeasure. He knew that his nagging had angered the other party, so he couldn't help but look at Xiao Chen with even more hatred. Right now there was nothing much to think about. The two of them just had to work together and beat up Xiao Chen to vent their anger. When the Heavenly Dragon Palace's people saw such a lineup, they all felt somewhat worried for Xiao Chen. Li Luo looked at Xiao Chen. "Junior brother Xiao Chen, isn't this a little too risky?" Bai Yinfeng lowered his voice and said, "I think so too. We need to be cautious." Xiao Chen looked up at Bai Yinfeng and said, "When I fought you, I only used 50% of my strength." Ah. Bai Yinfeng was shocked. Just 50% of his strength was enough to make him unable to retaliate? Whoosh. Xiao Chen gently pushed off with his feet and landed on Crescent Moon Lake. Then he quietly looked at the Silver Dragon Palace's Su Fuguan and the Golden Dragon Palace's Li Feng. "Senior brother, beat him to death." Qin Outyin roared as he watched from the side. Li Feng appeared displeased, but he did not hesitate. He instantly moved. Li Feng was the kind of person who would not underestimate any opponent. When he attacked, he would show no mercy. The instant Li Feng moved, the Golden Dragon's furious roar reverberated in the surroundings. The lake water exploded and poured down like a torrential rain. When Li Feng punched, a golden dragon image coiled around his arm. Then, a golden disc materialized in front of his clenched fist. The golden disc was a complex and profound formation diagram. Li Feng made up his mind. And a terrifying fist light burst out of the disc. In the blink of an eye, the fist light elongated and flew towards where Xiaochen stood. Xiaochen's figure flashed, easily dodging. The lake water where Xiaochen stood instantly evaporated, filling the air with steam. Watch out for my sword. Su Fuguan had been waiting for a long time already. The moment Xiaochen moved, he moved as well. Su Fuguan's figure turned into a ghostly sword image, piercing through the rain. Not a single drop of water touched him as he stabbed at Xiaochen. Xiaochen could not dodge. He squinted and focused his gaze on the tip of the sword. The Thunder Great Dao silently spread out. The sword before Xiaochen could not just look at its surface. He also had to look at the hidden sword move. Ding! Just as the tip of the sword was about to touch Xiaochen, Xiaochen flicked his finger and tapped the sword in the time it took for a spark to fly. A melodious sword hum rang out, echoing in the surroundings. The hazy sword intent hummed endlessly. Boom! In the next moment, Su Fuguan's sword move slashed out. The rain that filled the sky suddenly changed, turning into boundless sword chi that shot toward Xiaochen. However, the Thunder Great Dao that Xiaochen silently laid out also activated at the right time. Thunder flattened the sky, suppressing the sword hum. Amidst the terrifying roar of thunder, the rain of swords exploded into pieces, clanging nonstop. Su Fuguan revealed a surprised expression. He had not expected Xiaochen to shatter his sword moves with just the Thunder Great Dao. Just as he was about to retreat, he realized that Xiaochen's fist aura seemed to have accurately calculated the direction of his retreat. 100 cauldron force gathered in the tip of his fist. The strong pressure nearly suffocated him. His figure flashed, and he quickly changed his position. Boom! 100 cauldron force exploded, and the shockwave forced Xiaochen's illusory figure back. Unhurriedly, Xiaochen threw another punch. At such a close distance, the sword in his hand was useless. Su Fuguan was a little angry. You're going too far. His left hand formed a seal, and a dazzling sword light burst out to meet Xiaochen's fist light. Bang! The fist radiance and the sword radiance were evenly matched. Su Fuguan was forced back 100 meters. Just when he was about to heave a sigh of relief, he was shocked to discover that the sword radiance was not as powerful as before. The horrifying fist light before Su Fuguan seemed to follow him like a shadow, charging over again. Xiaochen predicted every step Su Fuguan took, preventing him from escaping. Senior brother Su. Several Silver Dragon Palace disciples were flabbergasted. Unexpectedly, Xiaochen was so strong. Within 2 or 3 moves, he pressured Su Fuguan to the point of suffocation. Now he was in danger. At the critical moment, a calm figure appeared in front of Su Fuguan. Seeing the fist light containing 100 cauldron force and a mountain-like pressure, this figure calmly threw a punch, clashing with it. Bang! The two fists clashed. The two did not move back at all, and the shock waves spread out. Tens of thousands of water pillars burst out of Crescent Moon Lake, which was as large as a medium-sized city and stretched as far as the eye could see. The surface of the water under their feet sank. In a clash of fist force, aside from veritable essence energy and vital chi, there was also their auras and great Tao. While it looked like the two were fighting in a small area, in reality, the shockwaves of the battle already covered the entire Crescent Moon Lake. From top to bottom, it was a clash of auras. Veritable essence energy, will mental state, all materialized in their auras. Whoever revealed an opening first would be the unlucky one. The two had a rather perfect grasp of their auras. They were practically equal, making it hard to find an opening. Hence, a rather strange scene appeared on this Crescent Moon Lake. Xiaochen and Li Feng's strange fists clashed on the lake's surface. Neither moved at all. As their gazes clashed, sparks danced. What a strong opponent. However, only I can win. Li Feng shouted in his heart, and golden dragon roars erupted from his body. The golden divine dragon's dragon might spread out behind him, illuminating the entire night sky. The golden divine dragon's dragon might dazzled everyone. When everyone felt the golden divine dragon's dragon might, they all trembled. The golden divine dragon was the noblest of the 6 colored divine dragons. Naturally, Its dragon might was stronger than that of the other 5 colored divine dragons. As for mixed blood dragons, that went without saying. Unexpectedly, Xiaochen did not immediately lose before this nearly solid golden divine dragon's dragon might. He showed a calm expression, even more relaxed than the people on the flower-filled island. The heaven dragon's mysteries. Xiao Jinyu, Li Luo, and the others familiar with Xiaochen were greatly startled. At the same time they felt proud. It turned out that the heaven dragon's mysteries were truly strong. Xiaochen did not fear the golden divine dragon's dragon might at all. This was especially so for the mixed blood dragon Lu Feng. His eyes blazed with fervor. Can a mixed blood dragon's dragon might be so strong? The one who found this the most unbearable was none other than Li Feng. His golden divine dragon's dragon might was like a tall mountain, like the sea, even giving off the supreme might and pressure of a deity. However, Xiaochen, who faced Li Feng, was boundlessly ethereal, appearing and disappearing. Xiaochen was clearly right in front of Li Feng, but it seemed like he was beyond the 9 heavens. This scene startled by Yin Feng. He suddenly recalled what Xiaochen once asked him. How vast was the sky? One could jump out of the well but not out of one's heart. It was useless. When one looked at the sky with one's eyes, it would forever be unreachable. One could only feel one's own insignificance and helplessness. Looking at the sky with one's heart. Bai Yinfeng paled. In this instant of comprehension, he saw a mysterious phenomenon that others could not see. An incredibly colossal dragon image circled Crescent Moon Lake. The dragon had looked like it descended from the sky, hovering above Li Feng's head with its jaws open, looking like it would bite down at any moment. However, at this moment, Li Feng was still searching for Xiaochen's boundlessly ethereal and mysterious dragon might. Bai Yinfeng thought to himself, how am I going to find it? Li Feng was still conflicted with the clash of auras, searching for Xiaochen's openings on the battlefield. However, Xiaochen's heart had already leaped out of the battlefield. After a while, Li Feng only needed to show the slightest sign of weakness, and he would instantly lose. Bai Yinfeng thought about the horrifying strike that would erupt from Xiaochen's dragon might at that time, and he felt a chill. Watch out for the sword. However, just at this crucial moment, the forgotten Su Fuguan leaped out and swung his sword like a lone peak. It was like the clouds parting and the fog scattering, revealing a lone peak piercing the sky. This horrifying sword strike, which was waiting to be unleashed after storing up power, contained the mysteries of a lone peak. It gave off the boldness of breaking through the sky. Upon seeing this sword strike, the Heaven Dragon Palace's group could no longer sit still. Xiaochen! Lu Ruyin exclaimed. She felt some impulse to rush forward and save Xiaochen. The main reason was that no one expected Su Fuguan to launch this sword strike at the crucial moment of the clash of auras. Even the Silver Dragon Palace's people felt embarrassed. However, they all kept their mouths shut, acting like nothing had happened. Chapter 1987. Su Fuguan's sword had been accumulating power for a long time. It would not be an exaggeration to call it a killing move. Especially at this time, Xiaochen was in a dilemma. Once he retreated, his vital energy would be completely defeated. Li Feng's fist light would severely injure him in an instant, showing no mercy. Thinking about his current prestige, even the people on the Flower Island felt a little fearful. It was clear how terrifying the power he would erupt with would be. If he was hit by this sword, the consequences would be even worse. Both of their attacks landed on Xiaochen's body. It was possible that he would be crippled on the spot. Even if he didn't die, he would lose half his life. Everyone in the Heaven Dragon Hall felt their hearts in their throats. They all stood up, feeling incredibly nervous. Firmament's rage. In the time it took for a spark to fly, Xiaochen instantly executed Firmament's rage. His left hand turned into a claw and pushed out fiercely. He didn't seem angry, but he was powerful. When he pushed out his claw, it seemed like the entire night sky started to tremble. Every cultivator present felt a tremor that came from the bottom of their hearts. Su Fuguan's face was filled with shock. He had never expected that Xiaochen would be able to block the attack that he had been accumulating power for a long time. At that moment, he was prepared to draw his sword back, change his body, and strike again. However, he suddenly discovered that Xiao Chen's claw contained a horrifying thunder great Tao and boundless saber qi, as well as the overwhelming rage of a great desolate Aeon ancestor dragon. What was even more despairing was that the aura in the palm had already firmly locked onto him. If he took a step back, Xiao Chen would immediately turn his claws into palms. The boundless saber qi, the power of thunder, and the terrifying saber intent from the primordial ancestral dragon would instantly strike at him. There would be no chance for him to dodge. Xiao Chen smiled coldly in his heart. He had long since expected this. Others might have forgotten about Su Fuguan, but Xiao Chen had not. The other party's sword strike, which contained a Lonely Peak's mysteries, had been prepared for a long time. Wasn't it the same? He was accumulating power, and waiting for the other party to take the bait. A strange scene immediately appeared on the calm lake. Xiao Chen's fist and claw actually blocked Li Feng's and Su Fuguan's fist and sword at the same time. 1 against 2. He was not at a disadvantage at all. He actually blocked it. Everyone on the flowery island was stupefied. They did not dare to believe the scene before them. Everyone thought that Xiao Chen would definitely lose, but he actually managed to block it. Not only did this sword not defeat Xiao Chen, but it also allowed him to gain the upper hand. I'll defeat you first. Xiao Chen swept his gaze around and fixed it on Li Feng. Just when he found it strange, Li Feng's expression changed. The heaven dragon, which had always been elusive and boundless, could suddenly be captured clearly. His heart sank. This is bad. At this time his momentum had already dropped a lot. If he continued to fight, he wouldn't have any advantage at all. Boom. The invisible dragon image above Li Feng's head ferociously opened its mouth and instantly tore apart Li Feng's golden dragon might. Blood leaked out of a corner of Li Feng's lips. In the next moment, Xiao Chen's fist light landed mercilessly on Li Feng's body. A crisp sound rang out, and everyone could hear Li Feng's bones breaking. Then he went flying back. Fortunately, at the critical moment, a golden protective veritable essence energy shield formed on Li Feng's body, blocking most of the damage. Otherwise, this punch would have severely injured him. Right after Li Feng went flying, Su Fuguan's mind turned chaotic. He would be next. In the time it took for a spark to fly, Su Fuguan quickly made a decision and retreated. You think you can run? Xiao Chen snorted coldly. Then he turned his claw into a palm and threw a palm strike. Immediately, a colossal hand formed in the sky. The fingers were like sabers flickering with berserk electricity, carrying an ancestor dragon's rage that made the sky tremble. The hand struck Su Fuguan, who was in the air. Pa! Su Fuguan vomited a large mouthful of blood as he fell into the water. Wounds riddled Su Fuguan's body. The electric light and saber intent continued to wreak havoc. Su Fuguan's body twitched on the water. Clearly, his injuries were more severe than Li Feng's. At Crescent Moon Lake, the white-clad Xiao Chen knocked back 2 people and stood upright with his hands behind his back. Xiao Chen appeared calm, but he exuded might without being angry. A strong aura spread out, and his body seemed to radiate an even more dazzling light than the divine dragon cultivators. This fellow is really a mixed-blood dragon. A silver dragon palace disciple exclaimed, unable to contain the shock in his heart. Junior brother Xiao Chen won. The heaven dragon palace's people rejoiced. Unexpectedly, Xiao Chen could win so beautifully even when fighting 1 against 2. For many years, the Heaven Dragon Palace's cultivators had not felt so delighted. In this grand scene of 3 outer palaces gathering, Lu Feng defeated the Silver Dragon Palace's Yuan Tai. Then, Xiao Chen defeated the Golden Dragon Palace's Heaven-class core disciples, and the Silver Dragon Palace's Heaven-class core disciples. This matter would spread throughout the entire Dragon's Gate's outer palaces in less than 3 days. When? I haven't admitted defeat yet. Li Feng's expression turned extremely sullen. He had never thought that he would suffer such a great loss at the hands of a mixed-blood dragon. Li Feng had even used his life-saving trump card, the Dragon Mark. This could be said to be a great humiliation. Since his debut, none of the battles of various sizes had made him feel more sullen than this. Even when working with others, he still could not defeat a mixed-blood dragon. If Li Feng could not defeat Xiao Chen today, he would become the new joke of the Dragon's Gate's outer palaces in less than 3 days. The pride of a golden dragon prevented Li Feng from accepting this humiliation. Su Fuguan, if you are not dead, then move for this old man. If you don't, I will kick you out. Li Feng glared at Su Fuguan with some disgust as he said coldly and angrily. Su Fuguan struggled to his feet, his expression extremely unsightly. He vomited a mouthful of blood and said, "Don't worry. This old man is not as weak as you think." Xiaochen showed a somewhat grave expression. Earlier, he had been very relaxed when facing two people in their peak states. At this moment, he ruthlessly suppressed two people's sharpness. One of them was even severely injured. However, he appeared somewhat grave. The two people on the other side were already pushed to the edge of the cliff. The situation would probably not end well. The victor is already decided. Are you still going to continue fighting? Xiaochen asked softly as he looked at the two. Nonsense. I did not admit defeat, so it is not considered a defeat? Do you think that my golden dragon palace is not that good? If that is what you think, then you are gravely mistaken. Li Feng suddenly let out a roar. His eyes actually turned bloodshot. He had actually overdrawn his will of soul in an instant. Boom. A horrifying dragon might burst out of Li Feng's body, representing the mysteries of ultimate destruction. His body surged, and the golden fist radiance on his right hand was mixed with traces of mottled black dragon chi. Behind him, the image of a three-eyed golden divine dragon appeared. It was a holy venerate will formed completely from the horrifying destruction profound mysteries. Oh no! This is the golden dragon palace's forbidden technique. This is bad. To think that Li Feng executed this forbidden technique without caring about the consequences. This is a forbidden technique that represents the mysteries of destruction. Once it is executed, the entire Twin Moon Lake will be affected. The people on the flower-filled island appeared somewhat horrified. They felt that the place they were at was not safe. Sword art, star extermination. On the other side, the severely injured Su Fuguan seemed to be stimulated by something, executing the Silver Dragon Palace's forbidden sword art. Scatter! Yuan, she shouted, and the people on the flower-filled island soared into the air and scattered, not daring to remain. Only you can lose, Xiaochen. World-destroying dragon fist. Li Feng roared. He punched out the Golden Dragon Palace's destruction forbidden technique infused with his will of soul. The entire night sky seemed to tear. That three-eyed golden dragon image flapped its wings, carrying the mysteries of destruction. Under Li Feng's fist light, the golden dragon image turned solid and launched itself at Xiaochen. Star extermination. At this moment, Su Fuguan also unleashed his sword art at the same time. In that instant, the light from the sword in Li Feng's hand was like the most resplendent light of a star shattering, lighting up the entire night sky. The two forbidden techniques flew at Xiaochen, shocking the entire Silver Dragon Palace. Several elders noticed this mysterious phenomenon. However, while they noticed it, by the time they arrived, the two forbidden techniques would have already flown at Xiaochen. If Xiaochen wanted to live, he still had to rely on himself. Just as everyone could not bear to watch Xiaochen get buried in the two forbidden techniques, a bright moon and a blazing sun rose up behind Li Feng. A bright moon and a blazing sun rose behind Xiaochen. In that instant, they stabilized Xiaochen's suppressed aura. This was the soul energy mysterious phenomenon, sun and moon shining together. Saber. The two horrifying forbidden techniques were about to reach Xiaochen. However, at this crucial moment, Xiaochen remained incredibly calm. No one could see any panic in his eyes. Xiaochen shouted, "Saber," and waved his right hand. The bright moon reflected in the smooth, mirror-like crescent moon on the other side of Twin Moon Lake. As Xiaochen waved his hand, a beautiful saber flickering with a cold moonlight materialized before everyone's shocked gazes. Life bestowal spell Moon's Saber. Resolving the mundane Buddhist sect's 7-kill seal. Xiaochen did not panic. He executed sun and moon shining together, materializing a bright moon saber and activating the 7-kill seal. Then, he executed an eternal and inextinguishable saber strike to resolve the mundane. All of this seemed slow, but in reality, it happened in just one breath. Xiaochen completed all of this at nearly the same time. It was so fast that the others could not react. under the clear sky and bright moon. The white-clad Xiaoqun used the moon as a saber to face the two forbidden techniques that scared everyone away. Then he executed an eternal and inextinguishable saber strike infused with sevenfold killing qi. Chapter 1988. Under the sun and moon shining together, Xiaoqun used the moon as a saber. With his sevenfold killing qi, he executed a Buddhist sect forbidden saber technique, the Mahamaya abstinence violation saber technique, resolving the mundane. Boom. The ice-cold blade that was suffused with moonlight emitted an eternal and inextinguishable blade light that slashed the three-eyed golden divine dragon into pieces and shattered Su Fuguan's sword light that was comparable to the destruction of the stars. It had to be said that these two people's forbidden techniques were indeed terrifying. Xiaoqun could even severely injure an initial perfection sovereign personage. He might even instantly kill his opponent when they were caught off guard. Anything was possible. Between the two, Li Feng's World Annihilation Dragon Fist was naturally stronger. His perfect fusion of the will of soul was much more exquisite than Su Fuguan's. If Xiaoqun could not manifest the sun and moon shining together phenomenon, he would not be able to do so. Even with the Buddhist sect's 7 kill seal, he wouldn't dare say that he would be able to suppress this move even if his cultivation had improved tremendously. However, when the moon shining together phenomenon appeared that day, it stabilized the other party's soul pressure and blocked the invasion of the destruction intent. When the Buddhist sect's 7 kill seal was used in conjunction with the mortal heart, the effect was vastly different. An eternal and inextinguishable saber light swept out and shattered the two forbidden arts. To the Silver Dragon Palace, avoiding a terrifying destruction was a fortunate thing. As for Li Feng and Su Fuguan, they were in a miserable state. After killing the three-eyed golden dragon and the sword light, its power was greatly reduced. However, its momentum did not decrease as it slashed at the two of them, cutting them in half at the waist. His life aura was draining away at an extremely fast speed. At this point, it was impossible for Xiaoqun to hold back. Otherwise, he might be the one to die under the forbidden technique. Senior Brother Su. Li Feng, the Silver Dragon Palace disciple, and Qin Outyin cried out at the same time. Yuan, she said slowly, "Don't scream, you won't die." Indeed, Xiaoqun would not die. The forbidden art had startled the heaven-class elders in the Silver Dragon Palace long ago. The instant the two were cut in half at the waist, he quickly rushed forward and stabilized their souls. He turned around and said that he would leave everything here to Yuan Shi. Then he quickly left for the residence of the Supreme Elder of the sect. Generally speaking, once one reached the Holy Venerate realm, one's cultivation would increase. No matter how severe their injuries were, even if their vitality was completely gone, as long as they received treatment at the first possible moment, their souls wouldn't dissipate. Of course, you first needed to have a divine vein expert present, and you had to be in a large sect. Secondly, he couldn't waste too much time. Otherwise, even if a faux god came, they would not be able to revive a person from the dead, unless it was some legendary great desolate Ian fruit that could revive the dead. When the heaven-class elders took the two away, all the disciples present heaved a sigh of relief. If someone died, then things would be a little troublesome. After all, they were all divine dragon cultivators with esteemed statuses. If they were not careful, they could easily implicate a bunch of big shots. So. When everyone landed back on the flower-filled island, fear flashed in their eyes as they looked at Xiaoqun. Everyone thought that he would be blasted into pieces by the two forbidden techniques. Xiaoqun actually counterattacked, using the moon as a blade to defeat two great forbidden techniques. It was hard to believe. "Xiaoqun, are you alright?" Lu Ruyin asked softly as she walked over quietly. The others were worried about Li Feng and Su Fuguan, who had been chopped in half by Xiaoqun. However, they did not know that Xiaoqun, who was struck by the two great forbidden techniques, was not having it easy either. He could not remove the sword intent of the destruction mysteries and star extermination for a while. "I'm fine. It's not a big problem. If I go back and recuperate, there should be no major problems." Lu Ruyin relaxed when she heard that. Then she said, "My father wants you to go to the White Dragon Palace again when you have time. He has something to discuss with you." Xiao Chen shook his head and said, I won't talk to him. If he wants to talk, get him to come and look for me. Even though the White Dragon King had not truly injured Lu Ruyue, Xiao Chen found it hard to accept what the White Dragon King had done. If possible, it was best not to meet the White Dragon King. When Xiao Chen was not as strong as the White Dragon King, he would not take the initiative to look for the White Dragon King. As for the White Dragon King looking for him, that was unavoidable. Lu Ruyan frowned in silence, clearly confused. When Yuanxi saw this scene, he felt upset for some reason. Xiao Chen, return my dragon pattern battle suit. Qin Outyin shouted as he pushed aside a few people and arrived before Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen retorted coldly, I said it before. If Li Feng won, I would naturally return it to him. Since he lost, he can forget about it. Qin Outyan's expression turned sullen as he retorted angrily. Good. Save those words for my big brother. Qin Outyan felt embarrassed by Xiao Chen. However, he was not a match for Xiao Chen, so he threw out some harsh words before leaving in a flustered and exasperated manner. Brother Qin, are you not going to stay for a while longer? On account of Qin Mu's big brother, Yuanxi tried to get Qin Outyan to stay. Out of sight, out of mind. Qin Outyan left without even turning his head back. Clearly, Xiao Chen had become a thorn in his side, and he couldn't do anything to him. Staying here any longer made him feel extremely uncomfortable. Xiao Chen's big brother, Qin Mu, is the strongest person in the Dragon's Gate's outer palace. Although I am known as one of the 4 great experts of the outer palace, I have to admit that there is still a gap between me and his big brother. You'd better deliver the dragon pattern battle suit yourself. You won't be able to use it anyway. Yuanxi turned to look at Xiao Chen and said softly, I have my own plans. Xiao Chen's answer was rather vague, and he didn't say much. Seeing this, Yuanxi let out a cold snort in his heart and ignored him, saying, Let's end the gathering here. There's no need to continue the sparring after such a huge incident. The earlier battle was equivalent to 3 great forbidden techniques clashing. The impact was indeed quite great. If they were to continue sparring and cause trouble, the gains would not make up for the losses. Wait a moment. Although the others felt some regret, they could understand. However, Lu Feng was not satisfied. He looked at Yuanxi and said, I came here to see how strong the sword Dao of one of the 4 great experts of the outer palace, Yuanxi, is. I'm not satisfied with just leaving like this. Yuanxi revealed a mocking smile. You are not qualified to exchange moves with me. He is qualified. However, I believe that in his current state, he will not challenge me. Yuanxi pointed to Xiao Chen, acknowledging Xiao Chen's strength. Lu Feng revealed a stubborn expression as he continued, How will I know if I don't try? Yuanxi retorted indifferently, I do not wish to waste my time. I already made myself very clear. You are not a match for me. I have no interest in exchanging moves with you. Yuanxi's words were quite a blow to Xiao Chen's confidence. Although Xiao Chen did not agree with Yuanxi's arrogance, he had to admit that Lu Feng's chances of victory were slim. Of all the people present, even the White Dragon Palace's Ling Xiao, Xiao Chen could tell how strong they were and felt confident of victory. Only Yuanxi was hard to say for sure. Send off the guests. Yuanxi waved his hand and called the disciples to send off the people present. Lu Feng was thoroughly enraged. He could not hold back and wanted to make a move. However, Xiao Chen stepped forward and placed his right hand on Lu Feng's shoulder. Brother Yuan, just take it as Lu Feng seeking guidance from you. As a fellow dragon race cultivator, this request is not overboard, right? Xiao Chen asked softly as he looked at Yuanxi. Yuanxi entered deep thought. In my opinion, mixed-blood dragon cultivators cannot go far. You are an exception. I'll give you face today. Come, I accept your challenge. Lu Feng snorted coldly. When the others saw the situation, they quickly scattered. Yuanxi, who was known as one of the 4 great experts of the outer palace, had always been mysterious. After seeing the strength of the newcomer Xiao Chen, the crowd felt curious about his strength. Being able to see Yuanxi make a move before leaving made this trip worthwhile. Whoosh. Lu Feng did not overthink. After some thought, he took 7 steps forward. With every step, the crowd could feel the sword intent on his body burning like a blazing fire. The sword intent was so strong that it moved everyone's expression. After 7 steps, the hundreds of flowers on the island of flowers bloomed as if spring had arrived. Petals filled the air and soared into the air at the same time. At this 7th step, Lu Feng's hand grasped his sword hilt. When the hundreds of flowers bloomed, and the flowers were at their peak, he raised his sword technique to its peak. "Back off!" Yuanqi shouted coldly, and a desolate sword intent spread out. A cold wind blew. "When autumn arrives on the 8th day of the 9th month, I will bloom and kill all the other flowers." With Yuanqi's shout, the hundreds of flowers withered. The petals dancing in the air instantly withered. Only the most beautiful and aloof flower monarch remained on the entire island of flowers, Yuanqi himself. Pussy. Lu Feng vomited a mouthful of blood, and was forced to loosen his grip on his sword hilt. He staggered backward, nearly falling over. Not only was his sword aura destroyed, but his mind was also assaulted by Yuanqi's sword intent. Lu Feng was severely injured. Compared to his injuries, what made him feel even sadder was that this was the result of his stubbornness to fight. He was defeated before he could even draw his sword in front of his opponent. Furthermore, Lu Feng had not underestimated Yuanqi at all, and had already used his full power. He simply could not accept this. Lu Feng roared, showing a pained expression. He felt very sullen in his heart. Ignoring the obstruction of the Heaven Dragon Palace's people, he ran away with a sullen expression. "You should not have given him a chance to fight. His life is ruined. I hope you will not regret it." Yuanqi showed a calm expression as he looked at Xiao Chun meaningfully. Xiao Chun had already turned around and stopped. He said, "I only gave him a chance to lose. Don't underestimate the resilience of the Heaven Dragon Palace's disciples. If he defeats you one day because of this, I hope you will not regret it." When Yuanqi heard that, he revealed a disdainful smile. "I will regret it." Chapter 1989. After leaving the Silver Dragon Palace, Bai Yunfeng and the others immediately spread out, searching for Lu Feng, who had run off somewhere. Soon, a few people from the White Dragon Palace came out. Xiao Chun nodded slightly and greeted these people. Lu Ruyan came over and said, "Xiao Chun, do you really not intend to go to the White Dragon Palace? I feel that you and my father seem to have some misunderstanding. But misunderstandings have to be resolved. Isn't it better to talk to each other?" When Xiao Chun heard this, he looked at Lu Ruyan's face. Suddenly he understood. He smiled and said, "Actually, your father did not invite me, right?" "Ah." A flustered expression appeared on Lu Ruyan's exquisite face. Then, she pretended to be calm and said, "Of course not. There was an invitation." "All right, there was no invitation. However, if I invite you to the White Dragon Palace to play, that should be fine, right? If you go to Ancestor Dragon City in the future, you will not have many chances to come back." Xiao Chun sighed in his heart. This girl had no idea what kind of irreconcilable conflict existed between him and her father. Unless the other party could help Lu Ruyan recover her memories, Lu Ruyan was the entire White Dragon race's hope and hope for the fight to become the Dragon Emperor. Even if Lu Ruyan did not succeed in obtaining the Dragon Emperor position, given her talent and strength, she could allow the White Dragon race to continue flourishing. Within the White Dragon clan, there was no more suitable successor than her. If he helped her recover her memory, then everything he had done before would be a complete waste. If not for some misgivings, the other party might have already killed him in the ancient city. Xiao Chun said softly, "There will be a chance. In the future, when we go to Ancestor Dragon City, we will have a chance to meet again." Lu Ruyan frowned and sighed. "All right." When Xiao Chun saw her pitiful appearance, he was amused. His tone became much warmer as he said, "It is indeed boring to always stay in the White Dragon Palace. Although I cannot go to the White Dragon Palace, you can come to the Heaven Dragon Palace to look for me if you have the opportunity." Lu Ruyan smiled and said, "That's true. Why am I so stupid? Senior Sister Lu, we should go." The White Dragon Palace's group stood on a flying demonic pet and urged, "Then I'll leave first. By the way, take this." Lu Ruyan sorted out her emotions. Before she left, she handed Xiao Chun an exquisite brocade box. It was unknown what was inside. The magic pet soared into the clouds and flew further and further away, disappearing from Xiao Chen's sight. Xiao Chen's gaze fell on the brocade box. The workmanship of the box was exquisite, and its appearance was exquisite. It felt heavy in his hands. He didn't know what was inside. Xiao Chen, we've searched everywhere, but we didn't see junior brother Lu Feng. Bai Yinfeng and the others rushed back and looked at Xiao Chen anxiously. The relaxed expression on Xiao Chen's face disappeared. He sighed softly and said, "Let him calm down. He will come back once he has thought it through. Let's return to the sect first." The many heaven-class core disciples on the flower-filled island in the Silver Dragon Palace had not left yet. The battle between Xiao Chen and Su Fuguan against Li Feng still lingered in their minds, leaving a deep impression on them. As for the battle between their first senior brother and Lu Feng, they did not feel anything about it. They had long known of their first senior brother's strength. It was reasonable for him to defeat Lu Feng. "Senior brother Yuan, what rank do you think this Xiao Chen can rank in the entire Dragon's Gate's outer palace?" A disciple asked out of curiosity. Yuan Shi entered deep thought. After a while he replied, "A conservative estimate is that he can enter the top 10. Ah. The others felt shocked, somewhat surprised that Yuan Shi would give Xiao Chen such a high evaluation. The top 10 of the outer palace. This was still a conservative estimate. It had already been more than 100 years since a Heaven Dragon Palace disciple reached such a height. In that case, can he enter the top 5? A disciple boldly asked. Actually, he wanted to say the top 4. Yuan Shi shook his head and said, "If that is all he is not strong enough to enter the top 5. However, there are still 2 months. It is hard to say." Xiao Chen, who was rushing back, did not know that the Silver Dragon Palace's Yuan Shi had such a high evaluation of him. The group returned much faster than when they came. In less than 10 days, they arrived at Heaven Dragon City. The moment they entered the city, someone recognized Xiao Chen's group. "It looks like the white-robed bladesman, Xiao Chen and the others? It really is Xiao Chen. He looks exactly like the portrait." The news of Xiao Chen fighting 1 against 2 in the Silver Dragon Palace spread like wildfire throughout the various outer palaces of the Dragon's Gate. When the news reached the Heaven Dragon Palace, the entire sect burst into commotion. In the past, when the 3 outer palaces gathered, the Heaven Dragon Palace disciples were mostly onlookers, going through the motions. Occasionally, there would be some eye-catching people, but they would only win 1 match at most. However, this time, Xiao Chen fought 1 against 2, defeating the Silver Dragon Palace's Su Fuguan and the Golden Dragon Palace's Li Feng at the same time. Furthermore, when the 2 of them executed forbidden arts, Xiao Chen even defeated the other party, chopping them in half. This was something that even the Divine Dragon Palace's outer palace disciples found hard to accomplish. To think that the Heaven Dragon Palace's Xiao Chen did it. For many years, the mixed-blood dragon cultivators of the Heaven Dragon Palace had never felt so delighted. "Junior brother Xiao, it looks like you are famous now." After the group entered the Dragon City, they had to slow down due to the Dragon City's rules. As the group flew, they could see a sea of people chasing the demon blood vulture, just to catch a few more glances. Xiao Chen felt surprised. In his opinion, this was not something worth being proud of. However, all the cultivators in Heaven Dragon City felt strangely satisfied. Their expressions could not be faked. Li Luo noticed the shock on Xiao Chen's face. She said softly, "Junior brother Xiao Chen, don't feel surprised. You just came back recently, and often cultivate in the Heaven Dragon Palace. Perhaps you really do not know the status of the mixed-blood dragon bloodline. In the past, our Heaven Dragon Palace was always suppressed by the other 6 outer palaces. Before them, we did not have any confidence at all. However, ever since junior brother came, you first destroyed Rakshasa Tian's clone in the abyssal underworld and saved one of the Empire's legions. Now you defeated the Golden Dragon Palaces and the Silver Dragon Palace's Heaven-class core disciples at the same time. In the past, we would not have dared to imagine this." Bai Yinfeng sighed softly. "Junior sister Li Luo is right. The 6-colored divine dragons have very high standards. Even a true dragon bloodline is like a mixed-blood dragon in their eyes. Just look at that Yuan Shi. He does not show anything on the surface, but he naturally disdains mixed blood dragons in his bones. Junior brother Lu only sought guidance from Yuan Shi, but he did not give him any chance at all. If it were another Outer Palace disciple with junior brother Lu Feng's strength, Yuan Shi would not mind giving them some pointers. As Xiao Chen spoke, the Heaven Dragon Palace arrived before them. According to the rules, the group had to report their gains and experiences to the sect. Xiao Chen did not want to go through the trouble, so he asked Bai Yunfeng for help and returned to Cold Moon Cave alone. Xiao Chen did not get arrogant because of the many cultivators chasing after him in Heaven Dragon City. Xiao Chen spent some time to remove the remnant destruction Dao and star extinguishing sword Qi from the two forbidden techniques in his body, not leaving behind any future problems. After that, Xiao Chen calmly chose to cultivate. After seeing Yuan Shi's strength, Xiao Chen discovered that the Outer Palace's 4 great experts lived up to their reputations. Furthermore, Yuan Shi said that the Golden Dragon Palace's Qin Mu firmly suppressed them. This put pressure on Xiao Chen. If he did not advance, he would fall behind. If he became complacent now, Qin Mu would humiliate him ruthlessly in the competition between the 7 outer palaces. I nearly forgot about this. Xiao Chen remembered the exquisite brocade box that Lu Ruyin had given him before he left. He opened it and took a look. He opened it to take a look, feeling stunned. The brocade box actually contained some local delicacies. Xiao Chen had thought that it would be some cultivation resources. Unexpectedly, it was these. Indeed, she was still a girl. Speaking of which, Lu Ruyue's closest relative in the Divine Dragon Empire should be this Lu Ruyun. Xiao Chen casually took out a piece of pastry and tasted it. It tasted pretty good. 3 days later, Xiao Chen, who was cultivating, received a message from the first palace master, interrupting him. There is news of the 5-element divine lightning. Chapter 1990. In the main hall of Heaven Dragon Peak, Xiao Chen met with the first palace master, Yi Yun, who had been waiting for a long time. Xiao Chen was about to bow when Yi Yun raised her hand slightly, indicating that there was no need. Haha, Xiao Chen, you're really famous in the outer palace now. The palace masters of the other 6 palaces have been asking me about you recently. They are very concerned about you. The first palace master said with a face full of smiles, not concealing the joy on his face. Xiao Chen said calmly, "This disciple is only doing what a disciple should do. Very few. Neither arrogant nor rash. Such a state of mind is indeed rare. You should know why I've asked you to come here today. To tell you the truth, I was planning to tell you after the competition between the 7 palaces." The first palace master sighed softly. There is still about 1 more month before the competition between the 7 outer palaces begins. If you end up delaying your chance to enter Ancestor Dragon City because of the 5-element divine lightning, you will lose more than you gain. If you don't go, it will be a huge loss to the Heaven Dragon Hall. The first palace master spoke the truth, not hiding his thoughts. Now that Xiao Chen's reputation had spread far and wide, if Xiao Chen did not appear during the 7 palaces competition, the 7 palaces competition would definitely end up as the 7 palaces competition. Not only would the morale of the Heaven Dragon Hall's disciples suffer, but they would also be laughed at by the other 6 halls. The first palace master could not help but think about it. However, since the first palace master had already called Xiao Chen over, he clearly already had an idea. However, after thinking about it, I realized that time waits for no man. The 5-element divine lightning is something that can only be found and not sought. If the 5-element divine lightning really appears this time, then the losses will be rather great. Just like the Tai Profound Bomb that Xiao Chen had once obtained, the 5 elements divine thunder was something that was extremely difficult to obtain. Just like the divine lightning of Tai, it only had a very small chance of being born in the tribulation lightning of heaven and earth. The tribulation thunder of heaven and earth did not refer to the tribulation of a cultivator, but the divine thunder that descended when other spiritual beings in this world underwent tribulation. For example, the Tai Profound Lightning had appeared during the tribulation of the devil-patterned thousand-winged serpent. Xiao Chen, on the other hand, was more open-minded. He said in a deep voice, "There's still a month left. Time is indeed a little tight. There might be a chance in the future. The first palace master was rather resolute as he denied. No, you have to seize this opportunity. Sometimes fate is like this. If I miss this chance, I might lose it for the rest of my life. I can't bear this responsibility. When Xiao Chen heard this, he was slightly stunned. That made sense. In one's life, there are many things that might really be missed if you miss them. Where is it? Xiao Chen asked. Thundercloud Ancient Marsh, a dangerous place near the White Marsh Beast Empire. There are endless thunderclouds there all year round, and the lightning attribute spiritual qi is abnormally active. In Thundercloud Ancient Marsh, there is a fusong tree that is about to undergo a tribulation. When such a divine tree undergoes a tribulation, there is a high chance that it will produce the 5 elements divine lightning. The White Marsh Beast Empire was one of the 8 great empires, located in the northern region along with the Divine Dragon Empire. They were all empires established by cultivators who possessed the bloodline of the overlords of the Great Desolate Aeon. On the surface, they were allies, but in the dark they competed with each other. After all, there were some benefits that could not be divided clearly just by forming an alliance. You might run into the White Marsh Beast Empire's people on this trip. Be careful. If there is no need, don't make the first move. Otherwise, you might end up leaving yourself vulnerable, the first palace master warned. Xiao Chen nodded and said, I know. Xiao Chen, how long have you been in my Heaven Dragon Palace? The first palace master suddenly asked an unrelated question. Xiao Chen did not keep track of the exact date. He answered honestly, I'm not too sure. Almost a year, I think. Back when Xiao Chen entered the Heaven Dragon Palace, he knew that the competition between the 7 outer palaces would begin in 1 year. Now, the competition between the 7 outer palaces was about to begin. Xiao Chen thought that it should be about a year now. It is not almost a year. It is 1 year and 25 days. The first palace master said with a sigh. When Xiao Chen heard that, he felt startled, finding it strange. How did the first palace master know so much? The first palace master smiled and said, You must be wondering if I looked through the sect records. No, when you first entered the sect and became enemies with Tianyun, we the 3 palace masters noticed it. When third brother insisted on taking you in as a disciple, we even laughed at him, saying that you would definitely not agree. We even made a small bet. Xiao Chen revealed an expression of understanding. No wonder the third palace master wanted to take him in as a disciple the moment he entered the Heaven Dragon Palace. It turned out that the 3 palace masters knew about the test. It looked like the 3 palace masters paid attention to the Heaven Dragon Palace's junior generation disciples, regardless of the specifics. 1 year passed in the blink of an eye. Even if I lived to my age, I would have to sigh at how fast time passes. The first palace master Yin revealed an aged expression as he sighed softly. Indeed, time passed really fast. During this 1 year, Xiao Chen had gained a lot in the Heaven Dragon Palace. This should be the year with the greatest gains since he left the Kunlun realm. In a short time, Xiao Chen broke through from Star Venerate to middle stage Holy Venerate. Furthermore, he learned the Dragon's Gate's Forbidden Technique, Supreme Dragon Fist, Firmament's Rage, Movement Technique, Light of Freedom, and comprehended the Heaven Dragon's mysteries. His strength had improved by leaps and bounds. In another month, after the competition between the 7 outer palaces, Xiao Chen would leave this place and head to Ancestor Dragon City. Ancestor Dragon City could be considered the Dragon's Gate's inner palace. Once he entered, he would be a true elite of the Dragon's Gate. At that time, his stage would be the entire northern region, even the entire central Great Realm. The 4 dynasties, the 8 empires, the righteous Tao, the demonic Tao, the 9 layers of the abyssal underworld. Xiao Chen would personally participate in everything. The Heaven Dragon Palace could be considered safe in its corner. No matter how much competition or commotion there was, it would be within the dragon race. There would not be any danger to Xiao Chen's life. Compared to the competition he would face in the future, everything now was just a small matter. This was a rare period of peace. The first palace master was someone with experience. He could see how exciting Xiao Chen's life would be in the future, how perilous it would be. To Xiao Chen, The Heaven Dragon Palace was just a cornerstone, a springboard for him to establish himself in the central Great Realm. The first palace master hoped that Xiaochen would remember the days in the Heaven Dragon Palace, cherish this rare period of peace, remember the Heaven Dragon Palace and the people here. As the first palace master said earlier, many opportunities would disappear once one missed them. For many places, it would be hard to return once one left. Even if one returned, one would not be able to find the feelings of one's memories, only reminiscing in sorrow. However, it would be hard for one to understand these things without reaching a certain age. It was pointless to say too much, so the first palace master did not elaborate. He only sighed ruefully. Whether Xiaochen could understand it or not depended on himself. Xiaochen looked at the first palace master and said, "First palace master, I understand." The first palace master shook his head and said, "You do not understand. There are some things that you can understand. However, if you have not truly experienced them, you can never say that you truly understand them. This trip to Thundercloud Ancient Marsh is hard to predict. I'll give you a talisman. If you activate it at a crucial moment, you can summon a Heaven Dragon clone to protect your life." Xiaochen did not argue. He stepped forward and received the talisman. The image carved on the talisman was that of the Heaven Dragon statue on the Profound Dragon platform. Xiaochen recalled Situ Changfeng's words about the Heaven Dragon statue being unfathomable and boundlessly profound. The value of this Heaven Dragon talisman probably surpassed his expectations, making it extremely precious. Xiaochen put it away and performed a cupped fist salute in thanks. Then he said with a resolute gaze, "Many thanks for First Palace Master's kindness. I promise First Palace Master that no matter what, disciple Xiaochen will definitely show up for the competition between the 7 outer palaces. In one's life, one would not get another opportunity if one missed it." This was indeed so. However, once one missed some things, one would regret it for life. I can lose the 5-element divine lightning, but I absolutely will not miss out on the competition between the 7 outer palaces. This is disciple Xiaochen's promise. If Xiaochen missed the competition between the 7 outer palaces, he could wait another year. However, if he lost the 5-element divine lightning, he might have to wait another 10 years or even his entire life. The former represented the collective, Xiaochen's respect and gratitude for the Heaven Dragon Palace. The latter represented the individual. It concerned Xiaochen's strength and was a selfish decision. Xiaochen's words made his choice very clear. The first palace master was slightly stunned, somewhat surprised that Xiaochen would take this so seriously. After being stunned for a while, he smiled and said, "I believe you. Goodbye." After leaving the main hall, Xiaochen looked at the sky outside with a somewhat grave expression. His figure flashed, and he landed on the top of the Heaven Dragon Palace. Then he looked at the vast Heaven Dragon Palace again, and saw the hundreds of thousands of mixed blood dragon cultivators moving about in a hurry below. Most of the time, Xiaochen really thought that he was one of them. Xiaochen had forgotten the fact that he possessed a grade 8 blue dragon bloodline, and shouldered the heavy responsibility of reviving the blue dragon bloodline. One day, when I become the Dragon Emperor, I will definitely abolish the old system, and let the mixed blood dragon bloodline gain true respect. Everyone is born equal. How can one use bloodline to determine one's status? Chapter 1991. Thundercloud Ancient Marsh. Not many people knew about this place in the Divine Dragon Empire. After all, it was not within the Empire's borders and did not have as great a fortuitous encounter as Desolate God Valley. However, this Thundercloud Ancient Marsh was rather famous in the White Marsh Beast Empire. Lightning-attributed cultivators frequently went there for experiential training. The White Marsh Beast was an ancient Great Desolate Aeon strange snake. It was completely snow-white and extremely intelligent. Normally speaking, snakes were frightening dark existences. They were accompanied by all sorts of negative terms, inspiring fear and dread. However, the White Marsh Beast was an exception. It could be seen as a holy snake. Among the 10,000 races of the Great Desolate Aeon, the White Marsh Beast bloodline was named after the phoenix, the qilin, and the other holy beasts. However, the Great Desolate Aeon was already gone. And it was now the epic era. Like the dragon race, the white marsh beast did not leave behind any pure-blooded descendants. There were only human cultivators who inherited the white marsh beast bloodline. Time was tight. This time, Xiaochen directly used the primeval heavenly pill. He used the trans-realm transportation formation to leave the divine dragon empire and arrive at the city closest to Thundercloud Ancient Marsh, Thundercloud City. Thundercloud City. Don't just stand there. There are still people waiting behind. The old man operating the trans-realm transportation formation urged Xiaochen, who was looking around, to come out quickly. Actually, he was quite curious at times. What kind of power was it? What kind of power was it that connected all the trans-boundary teleportation arrays in the Great Thousand Domains together? After thinking about it carefully, even the 4 dynasties did not have such ability. Xiaochen shook his head and left the transportation formation, formally entering this city. Since Thundercloud City could have a trans-realm transportation formation, it could not be a small city. According to rumor, this city was controlled by a noble clan. This was an independent city. There were many such independent cities in the northern region. People who could control independent cities all had extremely strong factions behind them, existences that even empires and rank 7 sects had to think twice about. I need a detailed map of Thundercloud Ancient Marsh to find the exact location of the propping mulberry tree. Xiaochen rubbed his chin as he wandered the streets of the city. The 9 Cauldron Pavilion. Xiaochen's gaze stopped in front of a magnificent building. He muttered to himself, "It seems like I have a VIP card, and its rank is quite high." Xiaochen walked in and handed over his VIP card to the receptionist. He said, "I would like to introduce you as the person in charge." The pretty maid glanced at Xiaochen's VIP card and smiled politely. "Young master, your VIP card is only a grade 1 purple card. You can only meet grade 3 managers. You'll need at least a gold card to meet the 2nd level manager." When Xiaochen heard that, he felt somewhat embarrassed. It looked like Li Xiuhai from Ancient Desolate Town tricked him. It was a first-class VIP card, but he didn't tell her that there was a golden VIP card above it. However, when Xiaochen thought about it, it made sense. Li Xiuhai was only a minor character in Ancient Desolate Town. How could he give Xiaochen too much authority? However, the level of a purple card is already very high. We can give you a 10% discount and provide professional guidance services. The pretty maid noticed Xiaochen's awkwardness and chuckled softly to ease the atmosphere. "You then. I need a map of the Thundercloud Ancient Marsh. Please follow me to the VIP lounge." Xiaochen nodded slightly and followed behind the other party, walking calmly. "Young Master Xiao." Just at this moment, a pleasantly surprised voice startled Xiaochen and the maid. Xiaochen looked back and was shocked to discover that the person was Li Xiuhai. Li Xiuhai showed a shocked expression. When he discovered that it really was Xiaochen, he rejoiced and rushed over with large strides. "He is?" Xiaochen asked. The pretty maid replied softly, "He is our new Lord Manager." "There's nothing else for you here. I'll entertain young Master Xiao. You can go and do something else," Li Xiuhai said with a smile as he sent the maid away. "Yes." The pretty maid withdrew obediently. Before she left, she bowed slightly to Xiaochen and Li Xiuhai, appearing refined and courteous. The Thundercloud Ancient Marsh truly lived up to its reputation as one of the top 10 super merchant associations in the entire Central Great Realm. The maid's service was extremely thorough. Xiaochen took out his purple card and teased, "This card's level is really high. I can't even meet a manager." Li Xiuhai knew that he was playing a trick. He smiled awkwardly and said, Sorry. I'll give young Master Xiao a gold card later. Let's go to the VIP room first. I'll get someone to call Mr. Bai over." Soon, the 3 gathered in the VIP room. After a simple conversation, Xiaochen learned that Li Xiuhai had been promoted in the Merchant Association because of his business deal. In the entire northern region, Li Xiuhai was already a 2nd-class manager. Any higher and he would be the person in charge of the northern region. Coincidentally, Li Xiuhai was transferred to Thundercloud City, leaving a remote place like Ancient Desolate Town. It had to be said that there was some fate between them. I really did not expect to see young Master Xiao again so soon after we arrived at Thundercloud City, Li Xiuhai said with a smile. He felt that Xiao Chen always brought him good luck, so he was very excited to see him again. However, Mr. Bai appeared rather calm. He smiled softly and said, "It's a small world." Little friend Xiao Chen, did you come to Thundercloud City for the propping mulberry tree's tribulation this time? Mr. Bai was as wise and far-sighted as ever, easily guessing Xiao Chen's itinerary. Xiao Chen asked in shock, "Mr. Bai, how did you know?" Just as Mr. Bai was about to say something, Li Xiuhai interrupted. "I know the reason. Recently, 3 outsiders have come to Thundercloud City. After that, we found out through the Heavenly Alliance's information network that the propping mulberry tree is about to undergo its tribulation. I heard that a few experts skilled in divination predicted that the 5-element divine lightning might appear during the propping mulberry tree's tribulation. Young Master Xiao happens to be a Thunder Great Dao cultivator. Aside from this, there should be no other reason for him to come to Thundercloud City." Xiao Chen understood. He asked sullenly, "Are my requests difficult? The map is not a problem. After all, it is next to the White Marsh Beast Empire. All the places that should have been explored in the past 10,000 years have already been explored. However, the propping mulberry tree's location is somewhat difficult. Young Master Xiao, as you know, some trees will gain sentience after 10,000 years. Besides, this is a divine tree. It has long gained sentience. It already gained sentience long ago," Li Xiuhai said with a slight frown, appearing somewhat troubled. "I see." Xiao Chen entered deep thought. He did not have that much time to wander around Thundercloud Ancient Marsh. Since the propping mulberry tree had sentience, it would definitely run away on its own. Finding it would be too difficult. Given that, Xiao Chen might as well return and save himself the trouble. Then he could focus on cultivating and prepare for the competition between the 7 outer palaces. Mr. Bai said, "Actually, it is not as problematic as you imagine. I saw that many of the 3 outsiders who came were very confident, and did not worry about not being able to find the propping mulberry tree." A thought occurred to Xiao Chen. Then he looked at Mr. Bai and asked, "What do you mean?" "The propping mulberry tree has existed since the beginning of the martial epoch. Who knows how many tribulations it has undergone? There is bound to be some pattern to it. There are only a few suitable spots for it to undergo its tribulation. If it chooses a spot to undergo its tribulation, there will definitely be traces to follow. We just need to guard it properly." Mr. Bai paused for a while before continuing. "Little friend Xiao Chen, if you trust me, I will help you find the spot where the propping mulberry tree is most likely to appear in 2 days, no 1 day. Words cannot express my gratitude for this great favor." Xiao Chen stood up and performed a cupped fist salute. "Since it is just 1 day, I will arrange for Sir Xiao to stay at the Merchant Association. That way, I will be able to inform you if there is any news." Li Xiuhai extended a warm invitation. Xiao Chen rejected. "I will just stay nearby for a night. There is no need to trouble yourself." After Xiao Chen left, Li Xiuhai smiled and said, "Mr. Bai, it is all thanks to you for keeping Sir Xiao here. I really could not tell that Mr. Bai is so knowledgeable." Mr. Bai replied indifferently, "It's not that I know a lot. It's just that the propping mulberry tree's tribulation is a major matter, so I paid some attention to it." "Ha! Let's not talk about that. However, isn't it a little too rushed to help Sir Xiao in 1 day? It's fine. My authority in the Heavenly Alliance is sufficient." Bang! Just at this moment, the two's expressions changed at the same time. An intense murderous intent burst out from the 9 Cauldron Pavilion. The two were very familiar with that murderous intent. It came from Xiao Chen. What happened? Did Xiao Chen start a conflict with someone? To think that he started a fight in the 9 Cauldron Pavilion, breaking the rules. Let's go quickly. Don't let the guards make a move on Xiao Chen. The two knew that the situation was urgent, so they rushed out. However, they discovered that it was already too late. The 9 Cauldron Pavilion's experts blocked Xiao Chen in the hall. The two sides faced each other in a somewhat tense standoff. A misunderstanding. What happened? Li Xiuhai rushed over, afraid that the Nine Cauldron Pavilion's experts would fight with Xiao Chun. Xiao Chun sighed in his heart. Then he performed a cupped fist salute and apologized. This is this Xiao's fault. I apologize to Manager Li and Mr. Bai. Earlier, the instant Xiao Chun came out of the VIP room, he happened to feel a familiar aura. A mysterious person wrapped in a cloak came out from another private room with a map of Thundercloud Ancient Marsh in his hand. Xiao Chun immediately recognized this person. It was the mysterious person shrouded in a scarlet shadow who stood with the holy sun Mingxian in the ancient city. While Xiao Chun found this strange, the other party discovered him and quickly left without saying a word. This situation was extremely strange. Xiao Chun could not resist trying to block the other party. However, he accidentally violated the Nine Cauldron Pavilion's rules. Fighting was forbidden in the Merchant Association. The sovereign personage experts of the Nine Cauldron Pavilion blocked Xiao Chun, so he could only watch as the other party left. Chapter 1992. The mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows mocked with some mockery. It would be fine normally. However, many experts have come to Thundercloud City recently. I wonder why they are here. I just hope I do not run into them. To think that someone could remain safe after making a move in the Nine Cauldron Pavilion. This person's background was somewhat surprising. Right. I do not have much time. Whether I succeed or not, I have to leave within 1 month. After leaving the Nine Cauldron Pavilion, Xiao Chun chose a nearby inn to stay in. Then, he took out a primeval heavenly pill and closed his eyes to cultivate. Xiao Chun also knew why this place was always wet. Heavy rain often fell under thunderclouds. The figure was wearing a black cloak that covered his entire body, revealing only a pair of palpitating eyes. Not long after the mysterious man entered, the group of cultivators suddenly became wary. A figure that inspired fear slowly walked over from the heavy rain in front. As a lightning-attributed cultivator, Xiao Chun did not feel much pressure in this place. Xiao Chun did not feel much pressure. Xiao Chun frowned slightly and stopped walking. He discovered that there were many cultivators in black holding weapons in their hands, blocking the path in his direction. I wonder if the castle master can obtain it this time? If he can, he will definitely give us many benefits. To think that the mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows managed to obtain so much useful information in one day. If you don't believe me, then don't come with me. The mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows appeared displeased. One of them was the mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows that Xiao Chun saw yesterday. Thunderclouds gathered in the sky at the limits of Xiao Chun's vision. Occasionally, he could see lightning tearing through the sky. At the same time, 2 people discussed entering Thundercloud Ancient Marsh in a private room of an inn in Thundercloud City. 2 days later, Xiao Chun, who was on the Demon Blood Vulture, noticed some changes in the sky. Li Xiuhai asked worriedly as he looked at Xiao Chun's back. Definitely. It's fine. I just ran into an acquaintance. It looks like he is here to obtain the 5-element divine lightning as well. Of course, it was extremely valuable. Senior Bai, do you think that Xiao Chun will succeed? Although the 5-element divine lightning is somewhat ethereal and might not appear, the people who came this time are not people to be offended. These 2 days, Thundercloud City has clearly not been peaceful. A scarlet, flame-like bird soared through the sky, rushing toward the Thundercloud Ancient Marsh. There were many things that Mr. Bai was not clear about yesterday, but today he was crystal clear. Master Bai pointed to the red dots on the map and said, "If nothing unexpected happens, the propping mulberry tree will definitely undergo its tribulation in one of these 5 places." The map that the Nine Cauldron Pavilion gave Xiao Chun was no ordinary map. It contained complicated formations and dense talisman scripts. Alright, then let's set off immediately. Along the way, Xiao Chun saw many teams, and there was no lack of experts among them. In the heavy rain, it was very boring. The disciples chatted from time to time. Upon seeing the mark between the other party's brows, the Saint Venerate old man immediately felt somewhat horrified. It was an expert from the White Marsh Beast Empire. Just like him, they didn't choose to temper themselves. Instead, their gazes wandered about aimlessly as they searched the surroundings. Suddenly, the ground split open, and a large snake burrowed out. Amid miserable shrieks, it swallowed up all the other disciples, aside from the saint-venerate old man. At lightning speed, Xiaochen explained many things to Xiaochen in detail, answering many of his questions. He felt somewhat curious as to where the other party's information came from. A small faction near Thundercloud City must have discovered something in the dense forest. Unfortunately, Xiaochen could not execute this strong cultivation technique in front of everyone. Thunder Eagle Castle? What's that? Sir Xiao, what happened earlier? Xiaochen opened the map and compared it to the one in front. Thundercloud Ancient Marsh's periphery was right in front. There are really a lot of people targeting the 5-element divine lightning. Clearly, they were all here to search for the propping mulberry tree. Come, tell me what you bunch of trash are waiting here for. There's no rush. I don't need the 5-element divine lightning. Are you confident of obtaining what I want? Li Xiuhai smiled and said, Sir Xiao, let me borrow it first. You can just return it to me after the matter is over. If you find anything in Thundercloud Ancient Marsh, you can sell it to me. Li Xiuhai asked out of curiosity. Clearly, Xiaochen was not someone who did not understand the rules. Something must have happened. One day passed in the blink of an eye. Haha. Let's depart then, the pale middle-aged man said sinisterly. Master Bai smiled and said, That is easy. If this is indeed the propping mulberry tree's tribulation site, then the vegetation there will definitely be lush, clearly different from other places. Although it is a divine tree, it cannot casually move it when it is undergoing tribulation. It will be easy to find. Master Bai smiled and said, Don't worry about this. Look, Xiaochen is not at all conflicted. Just based on his attitude, I feel that he will definitely gain something. Even if he does not obtain the 5-element divine lightning, he will not return empty-handed. Xiaochen thanked Master Bai and took his leave. The ground was somewhat damp and covered in weeds. When Xiaochen looked around, it was vast and boundless. His figure flashed, turning into a gentle breeze. Then Xiaochen drifted into the dense forest. Xiaochen answered casually, not saying anything more. I'll leave my matter to the two of you. Xiaochen did not dare to be interested in their discovery. He only wanted to pass through the forest and rush to the possible tribulation site of the propping mulberry tree on the map. After walking for half an hour, Xiaochen took a deep breath and continued advancing cautiously in the heavy rain. The blue sky and white clouds could no longer be seen in the sky. It was filled with black thunderclouds. Let's go and take a look. Occasionally, Xiaochen could see all sorts of strange mutated vegetation in this somewhat oppressive environment. The vegetation was abnormally lush. However, the colors were not bright. They were all dark plants. A pale, middle-aged man stood on the head of the huge snake. Our Thunder Eagle Castle turned out in full force. How could we fail? Right now, Xiaochen's divine dragon body tempering art was stuck at the peak of the 5th layer. He had no hope of breaking through the purple thunder divine incantation for now, so he could only cultivate the demonic cloud heaven swallowing art first. The places where the propping mulberry tree had a chance of appearing were clearly marked in red. Xiaochen, who had already silently passed through their guards and arrived on the tree above them, rubbed his chin and entered deep thought. Thundercloud fruit? Xiaochen gently tapped the map, and the scene on the map immediately enlarged. A three-dimensional scene appeared before his eyes, showing the Thundercloud Ancient Marsh in its entirety. The old man struggled with all his might. However, the more he struggled, the weaker he became. The poison on the snake's skin continuously permeated his body. The mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows said indifferently, I ran into someone who snatched my map. That's a small matter. Now that I have the map, have you gotten any information? There was only one old man, who had just advanced to Holy Venerate, that required some attention. He felt that his lightning attributed veritable essence energy would improve rapidly if he cultivated in this place. Such a scene caused the others to be slightly shocked. Boom! A few blind ferocious beasts leaped out of the ground. Xiaochen casually killed them, and his figure flashed as he entered Thundercloud Ancient Marsh. Mr. Gong, I heard that you nearly ran into trouble at the Nine Cauldron Pavilion yesterday? The pale, middle-aged man asked meaningfully as he looked at the man shrouded in bloody shadows. Li Xiuhai said indifferently as he glanced at the sovereign personage experts. These were all cultivators who had just advanced to Star Venerate. Some were not even Star Venerates yet. Their clothes all had the symbol of a sect embroidered on them. Outside Thundercloud City, blue sky and white clouds. The mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows seemed to have an extremely urgent desire for the five-element divine lightning. Half a day later, a dense forest appeared in front of Xiaochen. In the heavy rain, the entire forest was filled with mist. At this moment, he was wearing a large cloak that covered his body. Apart from his strange aura, nothing else could be seen. The air was filled with violent lightning-attributed spiritual energy. Soon it started raining. Opposite him was a pale-faced middle-aged man with a blood-red mark between his eyebrows. That mark was the mark of the White Marsh Beast Empire, something that only cultivators with the White Marsh Beast bloodline had. You all can withdraw first. This is my friend. It was just a misunderstanding earlier. Xiaochen entered deep thought and asked, if I find the right place, how do I confirm it? When Xiaochen arrived at the Nine Cauldron Pavilion, he successfully obtained what he wanted, a complete map of Thundercloud Ancient Marsh. Li Xiuhai asked when Xiaochen stood up and prepared to leave with the map. Since this was Li Xiuhai's friend, these Nine Cauldron Pavilion experts naturally would not make things difficult for Xiaochen. They performed cupped fist salutes and withdrew. How many primeval heavenly pills? Xiaochen asked. Just as this holy venerate was about to flee, the snake under the middle-aged man's feet swept up its tail and bound this holy venerate old man, preventing him from moving. Then the snake brought him before the middle-aged man. Who is it? The Thunder Eagle Castle has already sealed off this place. If you want to travel, please take another direction. Xiaochen got the demon blood vulture to stop. Then, he leaped down from the sky and landed firmly on the ground. Naturally, it has already been 3 days. If I still have not found out where the propping mulberry tree might undergo its tribulation, then there is no need for me to work with you. How lucky! Unexpectedly, we found the thundercloud fruit in the forest. The only holy venerate old man stepped forward, hoping to use the Thunder Eagle Castle's reputation to intimidate the other party. No problem. We are leaving now. Chapter 1993. I'll tell you. A disciple of our Thunder Eagle Castle discovered a thundercloud fruit in this forest. It has already given birth to a Tao pattern, so he brought the entire sect here. The holy venerate old man's complexion turned black as he said in pain. How strong is your fort, master? Small perfection sovereign personage, skilled in the thunder Tao. Thump. When he was done, the pale-faced middle-aged man flung him away. Get lost. The holy venerate old man ran out in a panic, not daring to look back. The mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows stepped forward and entered deep thought. The 10,000-year-old thundercloud fruit is quite valuable. Are you interested? The pale-faced middle-aged man said. I am not a cultivator of the thunder Tao. The castle lord is also a small perfection sovereign personage. Naturally, he will not take this risk. However, based on Xiaochen's calm expression, it was clear that he did not take this small perfection sovereign personage Thunder Eagle Castle's castle master seriously. Then help me get this thundercloud fruit first. The man shrouded in bloody shadows said indifferently. Whoosh. The horrifying venomous snake silently burrowed into the demonic pet pouch at the middle-aged man's waist. The middle-aged man smiled faintly and said, Mr. Gong, you are not willing to let any of these Thunder Tao treasures off. Fine, it's just a small matter. Let's just treat it as an appetizer for our cooperation. Don't talk nonsense. You help me and I help you. You will definitely benefit from it. The two immediately changed their original path and went deep into the forest, starting to search for the whereabouts of the Thunder Eagle Castle's gang members. Swish, swish, swish. In the dense forest, rain fell continuously. Although cultivators could not touch a single drop of water, and their strength would not be affected by the environment, they would not be affected by it. However, the terrible weather still affected people's mood. Xiaochen flew through the forest, capturing all the movements in the dense forest. With his keen divine sense, he quickly found some clues. The rain could wash away the traces of fighting and the smell of blood in the air, but it could not wash away the aura left behind by the martial artists. An hour later, Xiaochen stopped in front of a big tree. There was no need to use spiritual sense. One could hear the sounds of intense fighting with just their ears. Found it. Xiaochen pondered for a moment and changed into a new set of clothes. Then he took out the Grim Reaper's mask and wore it. Immediately, all of Xiaochen's aura was isolated. Even if a divine vein expert came over, they would not be able to detect Xiaochen, who had intentionally hidden himself. Under the lead of a sovereign personage, the elite disciples of the Thunder Eagle Castle charged forward in the dense forest ahead. That small perfection sovereign personage expert had resolute facial features. He wore simple robes that exposed his muscular arms and chest. His body seemed to be filled with explosive energy. Castle Lord, how much longer? This jungle is too dangerous. Almost half of our brothers have died. In the dense forest, in addition to the fierce beasts, the more dangerous things were the vegetation that could not be guarded against. More than 100 people from the Thunder Eagle Castle came in. Now only about 50 or 60 remained. Don't hesitate. Keep going. The Thunder Eagle Castle master struggled slightly. However, when he thought about how he could improve his Thunder Dao by obtaining the Thundercloud fruit, he braced himself and continued walking forward. In the dense forest, any random tree could have thousands, or even tens of thousands of years of history. The toughness of the tree could be comparable to godly metal. While the environment looked simple, in reality, even a sovereign personage had to be careful, not daring to be careless. Castle Lord, it is there. Half a month ago, I discovered the Thundercloud fruit there. There was a ferocious beast there. Hey, why is it gone now? That ferocious beast clearly had an extremely terrifying aura. We should have been able to sense it from far away. A Thunder Eagle Castle disciple exclaimed, feeling shocked and confused. The Thunder Eagle Castle's castle master's expression turned sullen. He said, "Let's go and take a look." The group quickly advanced. Soon, they saw the corpse of a ferocious beast lying quietly on the ground. Thick blood spread out on the ground. Even the heavy rain could not wash it away, continuously seeping into the ground. Electric light flashed not far from the ferocious beast's corpse. Thunderclouds drifted in the surroundings. A youth with a clean face and plain clothes was currently trying to subdue the Thundercloud fruit, suppressing the Tao in it. Who is it? When the Thunder Eagle Castle's castle master saw that the mutated fruit was snatched away, he became enraged. He shouted, "Quickly hand over the Thundercloud fruit. Otherwise, you can forget about leaving alive." That clean and tidy youth's eyes were as clear as water. However, he did not look immature. He said in a melodious voice, "I am Sang. This place is not safe. If you still do not leave, none of you might be able to leave. I don't know whether I will die or not. In any case, you will die today." When the Thunder Eagle Castle's castle master saw that the other party not only did not hand over the Thundercloud fruit, but even threatened them, murderous intent immediately filled their eyes. The Thunder Eagle Castle's castle master called out, and prepared to get the Thunder Eagle Castle's people to attack together, not letting this youth leave. Ah! Just at this moment, a miserable shriek rang out. A vine crawled out of the ground and wrapped around a Thunder Eagle Castle disciple. That snake-like vine was covered in tiny thorns, looking like pinholes. It instantly sucked that disciple's blood dry, turning him into a pile of withered bones. Closely following that, more vines emerged from the ground. Blood-sucking vines. Everyone, quickly run. All the disciples of the Thunder Eagle Castle fell into a state of panic. They broke the vines in fear. However, the vines seemed to be endless, and there was no way to cut them all. Damn it, how did this happen? The Thunder Eagle Castle's castle master glanced at that youth and then at his group of disciples. He clenched his teeth and had no choice but to give up on the idea of getting the Thundercloud fruit. He used all his strength to protect the disciples who came with him, cutting down the vines one by one, and prepared to break out of the encirclement. The blood-sucking vine was one of the most ferocious mutated plants in the Thundercloud ancient marsh. Its roots were buried deep underground. Almost all martial artists who encountered it would find it difficult to escape with their lives. However, this blood-sucking vine rarely appeared. It was impossible for ordinary martial artists to encounter it. Today, for some reason, he suddenly appeared in this forest. So. Some of the disciples wanted to soar into the air and fly out of the forest. Who knew that the vines seemed to have eyes and shot out like arrows from the ground? Before he could ascend 1,000 meters, the vines grabbed him and sucked him dry in the air, turning him into white bones. Everyone, don't act rashly. Do not fly into the air. The blood-sucking vines do not have eyes and are very sensitive to the sound of the wind. The Thunder Eagle Castle's castle master shouted, "Follow me closely and kill our way out." When this group of Thunder Eagle Castle disciples went far away, their fates unknown, Xiaochen prepared to show himself. Two figures appeared and looked coldly at the plain-looking youth, saying, "Hand over the thundercloud fruit." It's him. Under the mask, Xiaochen felt slightly shocked. The cloaked figure of the two was the mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows that he met in the Nine Cauldron Pavilion. Xiaochen did not recognize the person beside him. However, when he looked at the mark on his forehead, he knew that this was a White Marsh Beast Empire cultivator. Sang frowned slightly. He sensed the danger that these two people posed to him. Just as he was hesitating, a snake image suddenly appeared behind him. In the time it took for a spark to fly, it opened its mouth and spat out venom. Whoosh! The venom penetrated the rainwater, which instantly turned black. The venom mixed with the rainwater and quickly fell towards Sang. Despicable! Sang, who was suppressing the thundercloud fruit, cursed and quickly dodged. However, he was still too slow and came in contact with a drop of venom. Immediately, Sang felt a heart-wrenching pain. His lips instantly turned black, and his complexion paled, drained of blood. Haha! Just obediently hand over the thundercloud fruit. You were poisoned by my flying dragon snake. If you do not have the antidote, even if a true god were alive, he would not be able to save you. The youth snorted coldly and turned around to leave, moving very quickly. Trying to run? It's not that easy. After him, the mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows, Mr. Gong, and the pale, middle-aged man leaped onto the flying dragon snake and gave chase. The flying dragon snake slithered on the ground like a strong gust of wind. It crashed into many towering trees, showing how strong it was. However, just as the two were about to catch up to this youth, a figure descended, holding a ghost pennant and blocking the two. Both Mr. Gong and the pale, middle-aged man were startled and quickly got the snake to stop. It was that person. He wore a white mask with scriptures carved on it. Black demonic chi surged out of his body. Most importantly, the two could not make out the other party's strength. They did not know how strong this person was. Back off. Under the mask, Xiao Chen's voice changed to a cold shout. Chapter 1994. This temporarily stabilized the flying dragon snake's venom. Xiao Chen asked casually as he turned around. He felt an incredible headache. As he looked at Xiao Chen, who had changed his attire, he was stunned for a while before recognizing him. Xiao Chen said seriously, "Don't overthink. I'm only doing this for the thundercloud fruit in your hand. Hand it to me. I need it more than you do." A soul tool. Now that Xiao Chen had made some progress, obtaining the thundercloud fruit was the most important thing. Trying to delay? Unfortunately, I don't have that patience. It was not easy to control and drain too much soul energy. The ancient great desolate Aeon ferocious beast embroidered on the ghost pennant immediately released a trace of might, scaring the flying dragon snake into becoming obedient. Xiao Chen hesitated for only 1 second before choosing to trust this youth. Xiao Chen landed firmly on the ground. From communicating with the demon blood vulture, he learned that this delicate youth, Sang, actually found a herb in the dense forest. Not far away, the delicate youth, Sang, leaned against a tree. He opened his eyes and looked at Xiao Chen. "Why did you save me? You should go." However, if the demon blood vulture did not appear, Sang would not be able to help this youth settle down. After thinking for a while, he removed his mask and cloak. Sang smiled coldly and handed the thundercloud fruit to Xiao Chun reluctantly, who knew that after taking a few steps, his body would stumble and fall to the ground unsteadily. Sang smiled mysteriously. I've seen several batches of people like you. How can I not know? You are too late. If you continue searching like this, you might not even know when the propping mulberry tree finishes its tribulation. Seeing how stubborn this youth was, Sang frowned. What are you doing? The Cheongqi beast's demonic soul entered the ghost pennant. Soon, Sang saw the demon blood vulture's figure. He gently leaped up and landed on the demon blood vulture's back. Xiao Chun looked at the other party without batting an eyelid. How did you know? Sang looked at Xiao Chun warily and took a few steps back. Since that was the case, he might as well make the first move. Before him, there were already a few groups of people who had come before him. The Cheongqi beast's ghost banner in Xiao Chun's hand shone brightly, and the demonic might on his body surged and soared into the sky. This youth's words sounded credible. Xiao Chun looked at the other party suspiciously. You know where the propping mulberry tree underwent its tribulation? Xiao Chun released his thunder Dao Might, and easily suppressed the thundercloud fruit's Dao Might under the other party's surprised gaze. This time, he did not deliberately suppress the thundercloud fruit's great path runes. The massive might of the great path was accompanied by lightning, and the light was somewhat dazzling. Now, Xiao Chun's usage of soul tools had improved significantly. After executing the Cheongqi beast's ghost streamer, his soul power was completely under his control, and was not greatly affected. As expected, if it appeared, it would be a little troublesome. Xiao Chun returned to the demon blood vulture's back. Then he looked at the youth and said, If you want me to send you off, I can. Under the mask, Xiao Chun sneered. The Cheongqi ghost streamer in his hand flickered slightly. The pale, middle-aged man stomped on the flying dragon snake's head and stabilized himself. Then he looked at Xiao Chun even more cautiously. Xiao Chun entered deep thought. If the demon blood vulture appeared, he would not be able to keep his identity a secret. May I know who you are? 3 days later, the youth on the demon blood vulture's back wobbled and woke up. Xiao Chun did not insist. My destination is in front. I'll send you off later. He was still a teenager, so he didn't resist it. You have reached great perfection of your thunder Dao. You indeed need this thundercloud fruit more than me. The scarlet eyes released a light, and its long tongue flickered continuously, threatening Xiao Chun in a mocking manner. Although Xiao Chun had received news of this and used the trans-realm transportation formation to rush here, according to Master Bai's words, he should be able to obtain the thunder cloud fruit. As Xiao Chun looked in the direction of the scarlet man shrouded in bloody shadows, he entered deep thought under the mask. Compared to when he first used it, his soul energy found it somewhat unbearable. Under the mask, Xiao Chun revealed a mocking expression. He had guessed that the two would not be able to hold back. Shaking his head, Xiao Chun turned around and soared into the air. Right now he had more important things to do. He had the demon blood vulture keep an eye on the fleeing delicate youth Sang. Sang said softly. Then, he looked coldly at Xiao Chun before turning to leave. Although Sang moved fast, the demonic might still shocked the two. The holy beast severely injured the holy beast. However, it did not turn its head back, fleeing even faster. The demon blood vulture carried Xiao Chun above the dense forest. Then it stopped and circled around. Whoosh! After casually looking around, Xiao Chun felt somewhat disappointed. Everything seemed normal here. The spiritual energy was not particularly dense, and the plants did not grow wildly. Whoosh! Great minds think alike. Let's continue to fight with him. Let's attack at the same time and see how strong he is. The two were confident of blocking this strike. However, they feared that the other party was truly a demonic Dao expert. Why would it be impossible for a demonic Dao expert to possess a soul tool? Be more obedient, Xiao Chun sent a voice projection. The mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows replied indifferently, he is probably just trying to mystify us. If he were truly a senior expert, he would have attacked long ago. Xiao Chun immediately felt somewhat shocked. This youth did not look old, but his life force accumulations were boundlessly vast. Since he was already late, he might as well give it his all and take a gamble. This youth has many secrets. Xiao Chen said casually. You should have grown up in this thundercloud ancient marsh. Where are your parents and seniors? I'll send you over. Otherwise, you will not be able to get rid of the poison in your body by yourself. Although it's not fatal, fainting suddenly like just now happens often. Right after Xiao Chen spoke, he quickly executed the attack that he had prepared long ago. The youth nimbly leaped onto the demon blood vulture and patted its back. Then he said softly, Naturally, I know. Tell this demon blood vulture to listen to my commands. I'll bring you over. Otherwise, by the time you find them, it will be too late. On the flying dragon snake, the white marsh beast empire cultivators, and the mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows showed somewhat grave expressions. They did not act rashly. The flying dragon snake, which had only inherited a trace of its bloodline, was no longer a true flying dragon snake. This Qiongqi beast's ferocious might frightened it into trembling, and nearly flinging the two off. The flying dragon snake feared that the Qiongqi beast's demonic soul would chase after them. Bang! To think that the Black Lotus Church's demonic soul was targeting the five-element divine lightning like Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen wondered if the Black Lotus Church's holy sun would appear. Mr. Gong, what should we do now? Who exactly is this mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows? How did he get together with the Black Lotus Church's holy sun back then? Run! Soon, the demon blood vulture swooped down, bringing Xiao Chen to the first red dot on the map. Clearly, this was not where the propping mulberry tree was going to undergo its tribulation. Xiao Chen, who was toying with the thundercloud fruit and preparing to put it in his storage ring, saw this scene. He stepped forward and sighed at this person's life force. Seeing Xiao Chen's sincere attitude, Sang's expression warmed somewhat. He shook his head and said, I do not have parents. Let me down. I have my own ways to remove the poison. The two had just made up their minds when the mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows looked at Xiao Chen and said, Sir, you are holding a ghost pennant. Could you be an outstanding disciple of the soul-devouring palace, one of the 10 great demonic Dao sects? If not for his extraordinary life force, the flying dragon snake's poison would have killed him long ago. Whoosh! If Sang was not careful, his soul would scatter, and he would die without a burial. The pale, middle-aged man also knew how powerful this strike was. His movements were no weaker than the mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows. Sang sized up the surroundings. Then he looked at Xiao Chen and suddenly asked, Are you looking for the place where the propping mulberry tree is undergoing its tribulation? However, the gargantuan flying dragon snake under the two did not last long. You're awake. Xiao Chen scared the two away. However, he did not continue chasing with his demon soul. After all, the Qiongqi beast ghost pennant was a soul tool. The flying dragon snake was also an incredible ancient ferocious beast. However, the one before Xiao Chen was not a pure-blooded flying dragon snake. When the mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows saw the Qiongqi beast's ghost pennant, he showed an extremely horrified expression. He did not have a physical body and feared such demon soul attacks the most. Xiao Chen turned into a black bolt of lightning as he quickly traveled through the dense forest. Great! The terrifying Qiongqi beast's ghost pennant flew out of the ghost pennant. The overwhelming demonic might of an ancient ferocious beast surged out. Carrying the mysterious man, Xiao Chen leaped into the air and landed on the demon blood vulture's back. Then, he placed the mysterious man on its back. However, although the flying dragon snake's poison was still corroding the mysterious man's life force, it would take at least 10 years to completely corrode the mysterious man. Chapter 1995. 8 days later, under Sang's guidance, Xiao Chen arrived at a wasteland in the thundercloud ancient marsh. After circling the sky once, Xiao Chen felt that something was amiss. In the vast wasteland, there was a place with lush vegetation that was particularly eye-catching. With a single glance, one could tell that this place was different from other places. The wild grass looked scary. Who would have thought that a stalk of wild grass could be more than 10 meters long? But here, as far as the eye could see, there were strange sights that could not be seen normally. The exuberant vitality even attracted birds and spirit beasts, and it seemed to be full of vitality. This is the place. Sang, who was on the demon blood vulture's back, said softly after taking a look. Xiao Chen looked around strangely. Why did the propping mulberry tree choose this place as the tribulation point? I do not see anything special about it. Everything has a spirit. Once you touch the boundaries set by the heavenly Tao, you will have to undergo a tribulation. The tribulation of plants and ferocious beasts was different from that of cultivators. One should not look at it from the perspective of cultivators. To the propping mulberry tree, this place had the most fire-attributed elements in the thundercloud ancient marsh. It was also the place with the most sunlight. It's perfect for transcending tribulations. Sang's words made Xiao Chen look at him in a different light. Young man, you know quite a lot at such a young age. Sang did not deny it. He asked softly, are you here for the 5-element divine lightning? Of course. Sang seemed to heave a sigh of relief when he heard that. Then he said with a complicated expression, however, the propping mulberry tree is unwilling to see the 5-element divine lightning appear. Xiao Chen smiled and said, that's natural. Who would be willing to have such divine lightning appear during their tribulation? However, the propping mulberry tree appeared at nearly the same time as the martial epoch. It should be able to endure this lightning tribulation. Sang glanced at Xiao Chen and said, who told you all this? During the Great Desolate Era, the propping mulberry tree appeared. Most of the divine trees had the ability to undergo nirvana. Before the end of the epoch, it can be reborn and reborn in the next epoch. Xiao Chen smiled and did not argue with this youth. He said softly, no matter what, thank you for sending me here. Otherwise, by the time I found this place, the propping mulberry tree would have already completed its tribulation. Up in the sky, he had already noticed that many people had gathered in the grass and trees below. If the 5 elements divine lightning really appeared, it would definitely not be his turn. Sang said indifferently, laugh after you survive. Everyone knows that the propping mulberry tree's tribulation has a chance of producing the 5-element divine lightning. However, I wonder what kind of storm the propping mulberry tree will cause every time it undergoes a tribulation. What do you mean? Xiao Chen looked at this youth and asked for guidance. This youth grew up in the thundercloud ancient marsh and should know a lot more than him. Perhaps he knew something that the intelligence didn't. After hesitating for a moment, Sang did not say anything more. Even if I tell you, you will not give up. You should be more careful. Whoosh. Right after Sang spoke, he jumped off the demon blood vulture's back and landed deep in the grass, disappearing in the blink of an eye. Xiao Chen frowned slightly and said, what a strange youth. Since this place was already confirmed to be the propping mulberry tree's tribulation, then he should find a place and wait quietly. The demon blood vulture, which looked like a scarlet flame, and looked like an ancient divine bird with a golden divine flame burning in its eyes, appeared in the air. The moment it appeared, it attracted many gazes. At this moment, the demon blood vulture descended while carrying Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen had just jumped off the demon blood vulture's back, when he heard the sound of wind blowing. 2 figures stood on the grass and looked at him. These 2 had scarlet marks on their foreheads. Clearly, they were cultivators from the White Marsh Beast Empire. Although they were young, they were late-stage holy venerates. So it is a friend from the Divine Dragon Empire. This humble self is the White Marsh Beast Empire's rank 6 noble clan, Chen Xiaozi. The person on the left wore alternating blue and white robes. He had a pale complexion and handsome features. He performed a cup fist salute and introduced himself to Xiao Chen. A rank 6 noble clan did not refer to a rank 6 faction. Although they were similar, there were still some differences. The White Marsh Beast Empire ranked noble clans by bloodline. A rank 6 noble clan was a rank 6 Great Desolate Aeon bloodline. Aside from the Royal Bai clan, there were 4 rank 6 noble clans in the empire. Xiao Chen knew some simple information about the White Marsh Beast Empire. He performed a cupped fist salute and said, Heaven Dragon Palace Xiao Chen. Chen Xiaozi went straight to the point. He looked at Xiao Chen and asked, Brother Xiao, are you here for the 5-colored divine lightning as well? Xiao Chen nodded slightly, not denying it. Nearly all the experts of the Thunder Dao under the Divine Vein Realm in the White Marsh Beast Empire are here. Brother Xiao, what do you think your chances of victory are? Chen Shaozi asked indifferently, revealing a disdainful smile. The reason why Thundercloud Ancient Marsh forbade Divine Vein Realm cultivators from coming was not because Thundercloud Ancient Marsh forbade them from coming. However, the 5-element Divine Lightning appearing on the propping mulberry tree was only a possibility. The chances were very low, and it was not guaranteed. There was more than one place in the Central Great Realm that had a chance of giving birth to the 5-element Divine Lightning. Occasionally, news of the 5-element Divine Lightning appeared. Many people went over when they heard the news, but returned disappointed. Gradually, the Divine Vein Realm Thunder Dao cultivators no longer felt as tempted by the news of the 5-element Divine Lightning as they did in the beginning. After all, the time of a Divine Vein Realm Sovereign Emperor was much more valuable than that of a sovereign personage. After all, it would be a huge loss if they wasted their efforts. Even sovereign personages were rather calm about the news of the 5-element Divine Lightning, not taking it too seriously. For example, Xiao Chen only came with hope. He would not be surprised if the 5-element Divine Lightning did not appear. Brother Xiao, this demon blood vulture is pretty good. Are you interested in selling it? The man on Chen Shaozi's right suddenly asked as the two chatted casually. Not yet. Haha, you have not even heard my offer. How can you not be interested? Since when did the disciples of the Dragon's Gate's Heaven Dragon Palace become so arrogant? That person saw that Xiao Chun was of a mixed blood dragon bloodline and wanted to seek trouble with him, so he was very interested in this demon blood vulture. After all, this was a world where the strong preyed on the weak. Strength reigned supreme. Many times, even if there was a conflict, it would not be useful to report it to the sect. If one was not as skilled as the other, there was no need to say anything. Although the Divine Dragon Empire and the White Marsh Beast Empire were allies on the surface, these small frictions did not bother them. The major characters of both sides could not be bothered with it. Brother Xiao, state your offer. Chen Shaozi, who was at the side, said in support. Chen Shaozi, who was at the side, chimed in. Actually, the demon blood vulture had attracted the two over. When they saw that Xiao Chen was only a middle-stage holy venerate and a disciple of the Heaven Dragon Palace, they started to have some ill intentions. Xiao Chen's heart was as clear as a mirror. He smiled coldly and said expressionlessly, although my demon blood vulture is somewhat foolish, it is not for sale. Please return. What if I do not return? Chen Shaozi revealed a smile that did not seem like a smile. His eyes clearly showed mockery. Clearly he did not take Xiao Chen's warning seriously. In that case, scram. Xiao Chen, who had already lost his patience, suddenly stepped forward and took a step forward. When Xiao Chen took this step, his peak aura instantly surged out. The vast dragon might instantly suppress the two of them. The expressions of Chen Shaozi and his companion changed drastically at the same time, showing some disbelief. The aura that Xiao Chen erupted with actually rivaled that of a sovereign personage, immediately suppressing the two, who had underestimated him. Before Chen Shaozi could react, he saw a fist light appear in front of him. Caught off guard, Chen Shaozi circulated his veritable essence energy and charged forward. Bang! 100 cauldron force instantly exploded. How could the veritable essence energy that Chen Shaozi circulated in a hurry block 100 cauldron force? Chen Shaozi vomited a mouthful of blood as he went flying back like a sandbag. The person who offered to buy the demon blood vulture paled in fright. Then he turned and fled. However, that person had just taken 2 steps when he felt a shadow encasing him. When he looked back, the demon blood vulture stomped on him. That person immediately let out a miserable shriek as all the bones in his body broke. Feeling somewhat unsatisfied, the demon blood vulture wanted to swallow this fellow up. To think that he dared to target this great me. He is truly reckless. Mentioning the word sell would be tearing at the demon blood vulture's scars. Back then, the demon blood vulture's cheap father sold it to Xiao Chen for 100 years without any room for resistance. Don't eat me. Don't eat me. I'm not a demonic Dao cultivator. I don't have a demonic nature. The White Marsh Beast Empire cultivator, who was already in the demon blood vulture's mouth, was so frightened that his body went limp. He loudly begged for mercy, letting the other hidden cultivators see this scene. This demon blood vulture did not just look pretty on the outside, but it was also very powerful. Xiao Chen waved his hand to stop them. Just toss it further away. Chapter 1996. They were all here to try their luck and see if they could encounter the 5 elements divine lightning. Yu Yuanliang said indifferently, "No need. No matter what, it's not our turn to worry." The one who should be worried was old Devil Chen. His 2 subordinates were thrown out. Judging from his tone, I don't think he can bear it. Besides, the 5 elements divine lightning might not even appear. There's no need to make enemies for yourself. Second uncle, what should we do? The middle-aged man's name was Chen Yun. He was a direct descendant of the Chen clan, one of the White Marsh Beast Empire's 4 noble clans. He was also an initial perfection sovereign personage. They had been waiting for a long time. The longest had been here for almost half a month. It was impossible for them to keep waiting. The divine lightning I had a total of 10 layers. The first layer could only send down 1 lightning tribulation. The second layer could send down 2 lightning tribulations at the same time. And the third layer could add the previous 2 layers to send down 3 lightning tribulations. As it got closer, Zhang Xian realized that it was a heaven-suspending war chariot. Boom. It's by Li Xuan. Unless they were on very good terms with each other or had promised him a great gift, they wouldn't come along. Every part was polished with divine materials that had been tempered hundreds and thousands of times. Its streamlined appearance was very eye-catching. The middle-aged man said coldly, "Useless things, I told you to check out the situation and see if you can form an alliance. You 2 brats actually had ideas about other people's magic pets. You've lost all face. Just stay here and don't go out and cause trouble." The lightning attribute in the entire Thundercloud Ancient Marsh was very active and dense. Although there was slightly more fire attribute here, it did not affect the fact that the lightning attribute existed. Time slowly passed. No one knew when the propping mulberry tree would arrive. Apart from the Thundercloud Ancient Marsh, there were very few other places where so many Thunder Dao experts gathered. He said that in a few years, his name would shake the northern region and become the true leader of the White Marsh Beast Empire. When he thought about the 10,000 tribulation divine lightning in his mind, he felt somewhat depressed. It was clearly a heaven-defying existence. In the previous epoch, the Thunder Immortal Ancestor was in charge of the Tribulation Lightning Ancestor. However, he could not use all of it. Just as he finished speaking, something strange happened. The ground of the desolate grassland suddenly split open. They all knew very well what it meant to possess a 3-star heaven-suspending war chariot. The divine lightning I had been stuck at the 4th layer for a very long time. It was time to break through the bottleneck and reach the 5th layer. Xiao Chen temporarily forgot about the 5-element divine lightning and the 10,000 tribulation divine lightning that the Thunder Immortal Ancestor left behind. He remained calm and let the surrounding cultivators probe him. At the 4th stage, one could superimpose the previous 3 stages and send down 6 lightning tribulations. Chen Xiaozi said uneasily. Who would have thought that Bai Lixuan would actually come? At the same time, there were 2 figures hiding in the dark on the prairie. When one of them saw Bai Lixuan's arrival, he had a bad feeling. Anyone who could advance to sovereign personage would be considered an expert, no matter where they were. He wore a purple robe with a white jade belt around his waist. His appearance was delicate and handsome, and there were 3 blood-colored marks between his eyebrows, forming a special symbol. Xiao Chen calmed his heart and entered deep thought. Then he focused on cultivating the divine lightning eye. An ear-piercing whistling sound came from the sky. Everyone looked towards the source of the sound, and saw a blurry black dot at the end of their vision. If only Xiao Chen's firmament's rage could link to the 10,000 tribulation divine lightning like the divine lightning eye. Even the first palace master's firmament's rage would be inferior to Xiao Chen's. No one in the entire divine dragon empire could compare. The mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows said, "As long as no divine vein expert appears, I am confident of obtaining this 5-element divine lightning." However, the White Marsh Beast Empire cultivators were very familiar with this symbol. These two people were the mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows, and the white marsh beast empire cultivator with the flying dragon snake. Such speed startled everyone. Even a peak initial perfection sovereign personage would not be faster than this. They started hunting ferocious beasts in this desolate plain, searching for hidden mutated fruits. A 3-star heaven suspending war chariot was already the peak personal war chariot that the Pirate Alliance sold. Above that was a warship. Even in the central Great Realm, where there were many geniuses, only a few could comprehend a great Tao. After all, the 5-element divine lightning was too ethereal, a waste of time. Old Devil Chin showed a somewhat grave expression. Who knew what he was thinking? The middle-aged man on the Thunder Vulture suddenly opened his eyes. Immediately, his thunderous gaze landed on the two. Aside from these two teams, there were 4 stronger Thunder Dao cultivators from the White Marsh Beast Empire, and some loose cultivators from Thundercloud City's vicinity. Once one broke through to the 5th layer, it would be a huge breakthrough. One would be able to send down 12 lightning tribulations at the same time. Suddenly, the roof of the war chariot opened on both sides. A throne with a white marsh beast snake carved on it slowly rose. Bai Lishuan leaped down and looked at the surrounding White Marsh Beast Empire cultivators. Then he nodded slightly without saying anything. Several of the White Marsh Beast Empire's people immediately recognized this purple-clad youth. He was the royal clan's outstanding talent, Bai Lishuan. An initial perfection sovereign personage companion stood beside Bai Lishuan, a helper that Bai Lishuan had invited. Should we deal with this fellow? Although his cultivation is low, he is skilled in the physical body and vital chi. That demon blood vulture is somewhat strange as well. We might have a chance. Only relying on the divine lightning eye magic ability to bring out its might was truly a waste. The middle-aged man said, Bai Lishuan will definitely not come alone. He definitely has someone protecting him. Furthermore, there is that demonic Dao expert hiding somewhere. You can forget about the fight for the 5-element divine lightning this time. It is probably impossible. A purple-patterned electric python coiled around this person. He was an initial perfection sovereign personage, possessing extremely terrifying strength. Even without the 5-element divine lightning, these Thunder Dao cultivators could observe the propping mulberry tree's tribulation, making this trip worthwhile. This was a famous rising talent of the royal clan. He was not even 20 years old, but he was already a holy venerate. Everyone knew that the propping mulberry tree was about to appear. That 3-star heaven suspending war chariot looked like the underworld ghost bird. However, it did not have the underworld ghost bird's ability to move between reality and illusion. The various experts in the surroundings, both in the open and in the dark, all felt nervous. It was already something to flaunt for ordinary people to possess a 1-star heaven suspending war chariot. Anyone who could possess a 3-star heaven suspending war chariot would definitely have an extraordinary status. On this particular day, when night was about to fall, sitting cross-legged on the demon blood vulture, Xiaochen closed his eyes and cultivated. His entire body flickered with a purple light and sparks as he got on the war chariot. Right now, Xiaochen's only disadvantage over those demonic geniuses was his young age. However, this was also his greatest advantage. His potential was even more terrifying. Everyone present, including Yu Yuanliang and the Chun clan's Old Devil Chin, showed somewhat grave expressions. Helpless, Old Devil Chin could only bring some juniors of his clan to form a formation and fight together. That way, they could suppress an initial perfection sovereign personage. Many people felt bored. It's a 3-star heaven suspending war chariot. What fast speed! Old Devil Chin glanced at it and ignored it. He said indifferently, "Why are you panicking? This 5-element divine lightning does not belong to the royal clan." Since he did not say anything, he clearly does not intend to use his status as a member of the royal clan to suppress us. There is no need to care about it. However, this time, Old Devil Chin did not bring any companions. Not everyone was willing to make a trip to Thundercloud Ancient Marsh. Even in the 4 dynasties, as long as one advanced to sovereign personage, one could obtain a noble title and enjoy the protection of the dynasty's luck. What's wrong? The mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows asked when he noticed the strangeness of the people around him. After chasing away the 2 White Marsh Beast Empire cultivators who came to cause trouble, Xiao Chen ignored the many mental energy cultivators who came to scout the situation. As the throne appeared, a young man sat on it. A team of 2 initial perfection sovereign personages was considered a strong existence. No one came over to challenge them. On the other side, Chen Xiaozi and his companions stumbled back to their team. Then they said to a middle-aged man seated cross-legged on a thunder vulture, "Second uncle, you have to seek justice for us. That mixed blood dragon actually dared to attack our Chen clan's people?" Although Chen Xiaozi said that, he still felt somewhat nervous in his heart. After all, this was Bai Lishuan, whom the royal clan's upper echelon had high hopes for. However, before this ear-piercing whistle faded away, a blurry black dot appeared before everyone in the next moment. They only hoped that the 5-element divine lightning would not appear this time. That way, it would be good for everyone, and they could not be bothered to fight over it. They could use this opportunity to cultivate properly. Of course, if they wanted to become a marquis like the Soaring Dragon Marquis, relying on initial perfection sovereign personage would not work. This was the old devil Chen that Yu Yuanliang mentioned. This fellow. To think that he is cultivating here. This person's talent was even more terrifying than the strongest demonic geniuses of the White Marsh Beast Empire. This person's name was Yu Yuanliang, a famous Thunder Dao expert in the White Marsh Beast Empire. When a middle-aged White Marsh Beast Empire cultivator on the desolate savannah saw this scene, he felt incredulous. The sky and ground shook, and space fluctuated intensely. All sorts of mysterious phenomena appeared in the sky. This was the mark of the White Marsh Beast Empire's royal clan. The mark of the White Marsh Beast Empire's rank 7 royal bloodline, which surpassed the 4 rank 6 noble clans. Cultivating here would yield twice the result with half the effort. Waiting was a kind of torture. Few could be as calm as Xiao Chen. At this important moment, he entered a state where he forgot about everything else and focused on cultivating. Now with every breakthrough, his might multiplied. It was extremely horrifying. Hence, the bottleneck was extremely difficult to overcome. Chapter 1997. Xiao Chen, who was on the demon blood vulture's back, also felt this fluctuation. He slowly startled awake from his forgetfulness and opened his eyes. Electric light flickered in Xiao Chen's eyes, giving birth to purple electricity. Crackling sounds rang out endlessly. The many cultivators on the desolate plain soared into the air and quickly spread out. No one could predict when the lightning tribulation would descend after the propping mulberry tree appeared. Avoiding it in advance was undoubtedly a good choice, avoiding the risk and waiting for an opportunity to strike. Even the White Marsh Beast Empires by Lishuan boarded the 3-star Heaven Suspending War Chariot and quickly retreated. With the 3-star Heaven Suspending War Chariot, Bai Lishuan had an advantage in speed. He moved nimbly, moving like the wind and berserk like lightning. Originally, Bai Lishuan planned to exit his state of cultivation and retreat with the others before dealing with Xiao Chen. However, he was somewhat shocked to discover that when the mysterious phenomena appeared, strong winds accompanied lightning, and the thunderclouds in the sky scattered, the lightning-attributed spiritual energy became exceptionally lively. The thunder-attribute spiritual qi was abnormally active, reaching a state that was completely impossible in normal times. A good opportunity. He looked up into the sky and saw a mirror-like screen of light in the sky. It looked like a lake was hanging upside down in the sky. Occasionally ripples spread out, looking very strange. Xiao Chen closed his eyes again, grabbing hold of this rare opportunity to absorb the lightning-attributed spiritual energy in the air. The sealed 10,000 tribulation divine lightning in the depths of Xiao Chen's sea of consciousness moved continuously, cracks appearing in it. Boom, boom, boom. Thunder roared in Xiao Chen's sea of consciousness. Before the propping mulberry tree arrived, Xiao Chen underwent his tribulation in his sea of consciousness. As the lightning-attributed energy surged out, his entire sea of consciousness turned into a golden sea of lightning. Bang! Right at this moment, a tree branch suddenly stretched out from the ground. In the next moment, countless tree branches struggled out of the ground. No one knew when they would end. Propping mulberry tree. Many people could not help exclaiming when they saw such a majestic scene. After the time it took to brew a pot of tea, the tree branches that struggled out of the ground were already lush, looking like a green castle on the ground. However, the propping mulberry tree's main trunk still had not appeared. It was hard to imagine just how majestic this propping mulberry tree was. From the looks of it, it was comparable to a mountain range. The lush sea of branches was about to swallow Xiao Chun. Once trapped, it would be troublesome to get out. When the lightning tribulation descended, the consequences would be unimaginable. At the critical moment, Xiao Chun suddenly opened his eyes. In his right eye, the 12 violet leaves spun endlessly. The world in his eye was deep and boundless. Beyond the 12 violet leaves, there seemed to be no end. Xiao. With a thought, the 12 purple leaves suddenly condensed into a complete purple leaf flower, appearing before Xiao Chen's eyes. At the same time, the raging sea of lightning in his sea of consciousness calmed down. The divine lightning I had reached the 5th layer. Go. Xiao Chen looked behind him. Then he turned the demon blood vulture back into a ring and put it on his finger. Activating the light of freedom, he transformed into a bright bolt of lightning and charged forward. Under the light screen, this bolt of lightning was extremely conspicuous. When the surrounding cultivators saw this scene, they were all astonished. What's going on? Before the propping mulberry tree appeared, the lightning tribulation already descended? No, that's not right. That bolt of lightning has an aura of life. It seems to be the incarnation of a cultivator. He is using this opportunity to cultivate. Who is so bold? If he is not careful, he will be consigned to eternal damnation, falling here. Even Bai Lishuan could not help looking at that bolt of lightning. He sighed softly in his heart, finding it strange. Bai Lishuan had also noticed the dense lightning-attributed light under the light screen that looked like an upside-down lake in the sky. Bai Lishuan had also thought of using this opportunity to break through some bottlenecks. However, when he thought of the consequences, this thought only appeared for a second. In the next moment he calmly interrupted it. To think that someone really dared to do this. Bai Lishuan had to view this person in a different light. Boom. Right at this moment, a deafening clap of thunder resounded through the heavens and the earth, and everyone was stunned. Everyone felt their senses turn chaotic in that instant. They did not know if they were shaking or if the world was shaking. The entire world turned blurry. After Xiao Chun, who was the closest, appeared, he immediately vomited a mouthful of blood. While everyone was bewildered, they were shocked to discover a ripple in the vast water-like light screen in the sky. A bolt of tribulation lightning descended, heading for the propping mulberry tree that had yet to fully appear. This was a bona fide lightning tribulation. That person triggered the lightning tribulation in advance. Everyone looked at the propping mulberry tree with extremely grave expressions. Before the propping mulberry tree fully appeared, it had already encountered a lightning tribulation. Such a change had never happened in the past tens of thousands of years. No one knew what the consequences of such a change would be. As for Xiao Chun, no one cared about him anymore, as he was already a dead man. Xiao Chun's expression changed drastically. He had not completely extricated himself yet. Not as far as the other cultivators. He was still within the range of the lightning tribulation. If the lightning tribulation descended and the shock waves swept over, the consequences would be unimaginable. The lightning tribulation before Xiao Chun was prepared for the propping mulberry tree. It was not something he could endure at his level. This person is going to die. Old Devil Chun said softly with a grave expression. This person is going to die. Old Devil Chun said softly with a grave expression. Chen Xiaozi exclaimed in shock, really? He overestimated himself, trying to use this opportunity to break through his bottleneck. However, he overreached and ended up getting himself killed. When Yu Yuanliang, who was on the purple mark lightning python, saw this scene, he also said leisurely. How unfortunate. Bai Lishuan, who was on the heaven-suspending war chariot, sighed softly. Such a courageous person was about to disappear. This was truly regrettable. When the mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows saw Xiao Chun under the light screen, He could not suppress the excitement in his heart. He laughed maniacally. Ha ha ha. Good. Good. That brat was finally going to die. As long as that brat died. As long as that fellow dies. Even if I do not obtain the 5-element divine lightning, this trip was not in vain. Delightful. Ha ha ha. Upon seeing the incredibly excited mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows, the middle-aged cultivator at the side felt very suspicious. This Mr. Gong had always been mysterious and unfathomable, rarely showing any emotional fluctuations. To think that he lost control of his emotions for that white-clad person. How strange. I wonder what grudge he has with Mr. Gong. Boom. Before everyone's eyes, the first bolt of tribulation lightning suddenly fell. A loud sound rang out, and the tribulation lightning turned into a piercing white light, dazzling everyone's eyes. When everyone opened their eyes again, the propping mulberry tree's lush branches were not affected much. However, that white-clad youth was nowhere to be seen, and no life force leaked out. What a miserable death. Not even dregs remain. Aha! That is a lightning tribulation prepared for the propping mulberry tree. Even a divine vein realm sovereign emperor would not dare to enter its range. Given such a situation, there was naturally only one result. The shock waves of the lightning tribulation instantly blasted the white-clad youth into oblivion. His soul and physical body turned to dust at the same time. Boom. As the first bolt of tribulation lightning fell, the vast and boundless light screen in the sky started to rain down all sorts of tribulation lightning. All sorts of tribulation lightning began to fall. Every bolt of tribulation lightning caused one's heart to skip a beat, and their souls to tremble. Such a scene was extremely exciting for Thunder Dao cultivators. The Thunder Dao cultivators' bloodlines swelled up. The power of the heavenly Dao's lightning was completely unleashed at this moment, revealing its most ferocious side. This was the ultimate pursuit of Thunder Dao cultivators. Just think about it, if one day, one only needed to grasp 1% of this power, not to mention being unrivaled in the world, one would have no problem dominating a region. The Thunder Dao. This was the might of the Thunder Dao. Before this majestic lightning tribulation, the propping mulberry tree, which originally gave off a huge, luxuriant, and majestic feeling, seemed insignificant. The world lost its color under the thousands of tribulation lightning bolts. The propping mulberry tree was like a weak child. The tribulation lightning was like the heavenly Dao's merciless whip, lashing down mercilessly. The branches and leaves scattered, looking like blood flying out. However, that weak child was incomparably stubborn. In front of the misty heavenly might, he didn't even flinch. Before this vast heavenly might, the propping mulberry tree rose continuously, proudly spreading out its branches and leaves, slowly rising into the ground. It showed no fear, not shrinking back at all. It faced the thousands of tribulation lightning bolts with its head held high. Every single cultivator of the Way of Thunder benefited greatly from this shocking scene. Their hearts were filled with excitement and excitement. Even if the 5-element divine lightning did not appear, this trip would not have been in vain. It was worth it. As for Xiaochen, everyone had already forgotten about him after seeing such a majestic scene. Chapter 1998. Everyone thought that Xiaochen was dead. However, was Xiaochen really dead? Naturally not. If this lightning tribulation struck Xiaochen, no matter how many trump cards he had, he would not have survived. However, if it were just the shock waves, be it activating his great desolate Aeon bloodline, executing Dermic World, or using the life-saving Heaven Dragon talisman that the first palace master gave him, Xiaochen could avoid death. Of course, he could not avoid being severely injured. However, Xiaochen did not use any of these trump cards. Before Xiaochen could use them, a tree branch shot out and wrapped around him. Just as the lightning tribulation was about to land, the tree branch pulled him into the lush leaves. This force was so vast that Xiaochen could not block it at all. He felt the world spin around him, and space turned blurry. When Xiaochen woke up, he discovered himself in a mysterious space. This space was incredibly hot. Dense fire-attributed energy spread in the air. The surrounding walls were incredibly hard, looking like fiery red rocks with smooth patterns. However, when one touched them, one would feel that they were not rocks. As Xiaochen walked along the path, he felt somewhat dizzy. As he walked around, he discovered that this place was like a maze. As for Xiaochen's spiritual sense, it was completely obstructed, unable to move 1 meter away from him. Just as Xiaochen was preparing to use force to break through the 4 walls, a shout came from behind him. "Haha! What are you trying to do? Do you think that you can break through 10,000-year-old divine wood?" This startled Xiaochen. When he turned his head back, a familiar face appeared before him. He exclaimed in shock, "Sang?" The youth who appeared before Xiaochen was the strange youth, Sang, whom he had interacted with for some time. "That's me." Sang nodded slightly and revealed his identity. "If not for me, how could I have saved you?" Xiaochen immediately understood. After entering deep thought, he looked at Sang and said, "In that case, you are the propping mulberry tree?" Xiaochen had long felt that this youth was somewhat strange. He was young, but his life force accumulations were exceptionally vast. Xiaochen also knew Thundercloud Ancient Marsh like the back of his hand. Not only could he easily find herbs to suppress the poison, but he could also predict the appearance of blood-sucking vines. He also knew the location of the propping mulberry tree's tribulation. Now that the other party had reappeared in front of him, everything became clear. Yes and no. I inherited the propping mulberry tree's memories, but I obtained my own physical body only in the past 10 years. You can think of me as the soul of the propping mulberry tree, although I'm not. But you can understand it this way. It's too complicated for you to understand. Sang clearly did not want to explain too much. Fortunately, Xiaochen did not care about this. Where am I now? Inside the propping mulberry tree. Xiaochen asked doubtfully. Isn't the propping mulberry tree undergoing a tribulation? Why is there no reaction at all? Naturally, there is no reaction. This is the root of the propping mulberry tree. It is still buried in the ground and has yet to appear. This is all thanks to you. If not for you attracting the lightning tribulation in advance, the propping mulberry tree would not have to face the tribulation before its main trunk appeared. Feeling somewhat embarrassed, Xiaochen said somewhat apologetically, "Sorry about that." Sang waved his hand and said, "It's fine. Fortune comes with misfortune. This is both a good and a bad thing. The propping mulberry tree has never undergone a tribulation like this before. If it can really clear this tribulation, it will definitely be reborn and rise to the next level." Sang showed a calm expression. He appeared very relaxed as he conversed with Xiaochen. This puzzled Xiaochen. Why are you not nervous about the propping mulberry tree's tribulation at all? Based on your appearance, there is no need to worry about it. From your appearance, it seems like you will remain indifferent even if it fails the tribulation. Sang replied softly. That is natural. Right now, I can leave the propping mulberry tree and live on my own, pursuing the martial god Tao. Although my cultivation can advance rapidly in the propping mulberry tree, it will not last long. I will have to leave sooner or later. However, I personally hope that it can successfully clear this tribulation. Otherwise, it will not be good if other problems appear. What problems? Xiaochen recalled that before Sang left the demon blood vulture, he said that the propping mulberry tree's tribulation would be somewhat troublesome. However, when Xiaochen asked Sang about it, Sang did not answer him, leaving directly. I can't tell you now. Sang looked at Xiaochen and asked, what do you plan to do now? If you want to leave, I can send you off. If you want to experience the propping mulberry tree's lightning tribulation from inside, I can bring you in to observe it. However, it will be somewhat dangerous. After thinking for a while, Xiaochen chose the latter. The people outside might think that he died. Xiaochen might as well stay here and observe the lightning tribulation from the propping mulberry tree's perspective. After making his choice, Sang said softly, come with me. The surroundings were like a maze, unusually hot and dry. Xiaochen followed closely behind, not daring to be careless. If he got careless and lost Sang, he might end up trapped here. The interior of the propping mulberry tree was a strange great world. It was a vast wasteland with rivers and lakes formed by tree sap. There were even some flaming spirit birds living in it. The two of them climbed up the spirit beasts one after another. An hour later, Xiaochen and Sang finally sensed the shocking might of thunder. Lord Sang, I will take my leave. The Thunderfire Spirit Eagle carrying the two spoke in the human language. Go down and prepare yourself. The situation could change at any time. I know. When only the two of them were left, Sang tapped lightly in front of them. Suddenly, the view in front of them became clear. If they raised their heads, they would be able to see the scenery outside the divine tree. Bolts of tribulation lightning continued to fall. From this angle, it looked like the lightning tribulation had fallen on him, and he could feel the might of the lightning tribulation. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that he was there. Xiaochen found it difficult to breathe. Fear spread in his heart. It took him a moment to stabilize his mind. On the other hand, Sang remained incredibly calm. He had already started observing and seriously comprehending. Xiaochen did not dare to miss this opportunity. He focused and carefully observed. At the same time, he secretly drove the 10,000 tribulation divine lightning sealed in his sea of consciousness. Xiaochen vaguely sensed that this was an excellent opportunity to make a breakthrough in the divine lightning eye. If he missed it, it would be hard to get another opportunity. Perhaps he could use this opportunity to make another breakthrough in the divine lightning eye. His thunder Dao could also improve further. At the same time, outside by Li Xuan, Yu Yuanliang, Old Devil Chen and the other experts were also observing the lightning tribulation, carefully comprehending it. They were all experts of the thunder Dao. They would not easily let go of this rare opportunity to observe. However, in terms of practical effects, Xiaochen inside the divine tree was 100 times better than them. The watery light screen in the sky became as smooth as a mirror. The range it radiated became increasingly wider. Under the brilliant thunder might, the huge propping mulberry tree endured wave after wave of tribulation lightning. Finally, its trunk came out. The tribulation lightning contained horrifying destruction, profound mysteries. The tribulation lightning continuously broke the thick tree branches. The propping mulberry tree leaves danced chaotically in the lightning storm. Occasionally, tree sap splattered into the air. It looked like blood splattered in the air. Many people felt pity when they saw this. This was the divine tree's essence, a priceless treasure. However, no one here dared to run into the lightning tribulation's range to snatch the divine tree's essence. The sun rose and set. After 3 days, the propping mulberry tree's lightning tribulation still had not passed, continuing endlessly. If it were a cultivator's lightning tribulation, lasting half a day would already be considered an anomaly. However, to the propping mulberry tree, which had lived for countless years, a 3-day lightning tribulation was very ordinary. Sometimes, the lightning tribulation could even last for half a month. The propping mulberry tree's life force accumulation was incomparable to a cultivator's. Naturally, the lightning tribulation could not compare. During these 3 days, everyone benefited a lot, feeling that their thunder Dao improved. However, in terms of who improved the most, it naturally had to be Xiaochen. Xiaochen was inside the propping mulberry tree, feeling like he was undergoing a tribulation himself. Boom. On this day, Xiaochen opened his eyes. 24 purple petals appeared in his deep and vast right eye. When the petals gathered, they formed an incredibly beautiful purple flower. The divine lightning eye reached the 6th layer. Sang, who stood across Xiaochen, revealed a brilliant light in his eyes. He said seriously, "No wonder you wanted to take the risk to comprehend it previously. This secret technique of yours is probably closely related to the tribulation lightning. Unexpectedly, you actually made another breakthrough in a short 3 days. This is truly surprising." The purple flower scattered, and Xiaochen said softly, "If not for you giving me this opportunity, I would not have been able to break through so quickly." In the past, Xiaochen would not even have dared to dream of breaking through to the 2nd layer of the divine lightning eye in a short few days. However, being inside the propping mulberry tree was equivalent to undergoing a tribulation together with the tree, giving Xiaochen this opportunity. Sang was about to say something when his expression suddenly changed. He sighed softly. "The 5-element divine lightning that you want is here." Startled, Xiaochen looked up. Then he saw a light screen that looked like an upside-down lake in the sky. Different lights appeared in the north, south, east, and west, each giving off circular ripples. When the ripples clashed, the entire world trembled intensely. The five-element divine lightning appeared. Chapter 1999. It appeared. The moment the mysterious phenomenon in the light screen in the sky appeared, it immediately attracted the attention of all the cultivators outside. 5 clumps of light of different colors appeared in 5 different directions on the light screen. There was the scarlet heptagold divine lightning, the azure greenwood divine lightning, the red fire divine lightning, the blue gui water divine lightning, and the black earth filth divine lightning. Metal, wood, water, fire, and earth, the 5 elements gathered. Bai Lishuan, the White Marsh Beast Empire's royal clan disciple, exclaimed softly in shock. Surprise flashed in Bai Lishuan's eyes. He had been observing the propping mulberry tree's tribulation in this desolate savanna for 3 days. He had already immersed himself in it, forgetting his purpose in coming here. The mysterious phenomenon of the lake-like light screen startled Bai Lishuan awake. Then wild joy filled his heart. 5-element divine lightning. It really appeared. The 5-element divine lightning that could only be found and not sought actually appeared during the propping mulberry tree's tribulation. Bai Lishuan glanced at the surrounding people. Then he swept his gaze across Old Devil Chun and Yu Yuanliang. These two posed the greatest threat here. They were both small perfection sovereign personages and famous Thunder Dao experts in the White Marsh Beast Empire. When he was young, the two of them had already made a name for themselves. When he was very young, he had heard of their talent in the way of lightning. However, time was merciless. These two's talent was limited. In the end, they stopped at initial perfection sovereign personage. Xiaoqin had caught up from behind. Although his current cultivation was not high, only mid-stage holy venerate, he no longer feared these two people. Of course, it was obviously impossible for him to defeat the two of them by himself. Furthermore, the two of them were not alone. They both had helpers. Uncle Qin, help me later. However, the confidence on Bai Lishuan's face did not diminish at all as he sent a voice projection. Haha. Young master, don't worry. This 5-element divine lightning will definitely be young master's. No one here is a match for this old man. Xiaoqin sent a voice projection in reply to Bai Lishuan. Bai Lishuan nodded to himself, feeling that it was a pity. Had he known that the 5-element divine lightning would appear, he would have sent a divine Vein Realm sovereign emperor of the royal clan with him. Let the royal clan's divine Vein Realm sovereign emperors travel together. That way, success would be in the bag, with practically no accidents. However, it was not too much of a pity. Who could have imagined that the 5-element divine lightning would appear? Uncle Qin alone was enough to hold the fort. Uncle Qin, don't show yourself at the critical moment. I feel that there are still some people hiding in the dark. I felt it too. It's fine. With me here, the 5-element divine lightning will not be lost. Hidden in the darkness, the man shrouded in bloody shadows revealed an extremely excited expression. He even felt like laughing out loud. Life was nothing more than this. His most hated enemy was already dead, not even a speck of him was left. The treasure he needed the most had appeared at this crucial moment. It was truly a blessing from the heavens. Gong Xiansheng, stabilize your emotions, don't get discovered. The pale-faced middle-aged man said with some dissatisfaction. The man shrouded in bloody shadows sneered and said, so be it. Anyone who dares to stop me from obtaining the 5 elements divine lightning will die. Sensing the cold murderous intent in his words, as well as his strong confidence, the pale middle-aged man was slightly fearful. The middle-aged man said thoughtfully, when will we make our move later? The man shrouded in bloody shadows looked at the 5 kinds of divine lightning slowly gathering in the sky and said, soon, the heptagold divine lightning, the greenwood divine lightning, the 10th water divine lightning, the 3rd fire divine lightning, and the earth filth divine lightning will merge into one, forming the true 5-element divine lightning. After the propping mulberry tree withstands this wave of 5-element divine lightning, the 5-element divine lightning will definitely scatter. At that time, Whoever has the strongest thunder Tao will be able to attract the most divine lightning. At that time, act according to the situation and protect me." The man shrouded in bloody shadows revealed strong confidence in his thunder Tao. The pale middle-aged man entered deep thought. What if the propping mulberry tree cannot withstand this tribulation? The man shrouded in bloody shadows felt stunned. He had not considered this problem before. He shook his head and said, "That should not happen. The propping mulberry tree is very old. It should be able to withstand it." Although the man shrouded in bloody shadows said that, he was not very confident. Before the propping mulberry tree could fully stretch out, the lightning tribulation descended in advance. The current situation was obviously weaker than any other time in the past. Whether the propping mulberry tree could withstand the 5-element divine lightning was a question. If the propping mulberry tree could not withstand it, no one would dare to rashly absorb the complete 5-element divine lightning before it scattered. One could only absorb it one by one, splitting the thunder might of the tribulation lightning before merging the 5 elements into one, perfectly merging them. The pale middle-aged man was very knowledgeable and would not ask questions for no reason. At the same time, the White Marsh Beast Empire's Chun clan elder, Chun Yin, showed an extremely grave expression. It really appeared. Chun Shaozi, who was at the side, whispered, "Second uncle, are we really going to snatch it? Bai Li Xuan is here. If we offend the royal clan..." "Humph!" Chun Yin snorted coldly. "Why not? If the clan head were here, he would definitely support my decision. Offending this Bai Li Xuan for the 5-element divine lightning is completely worth it. We can give up everything else, but we cannot give up the 5-element divine lightning." This Bai Li Xuan is very clear about this. He is not using his status as a royal clan member to suppress others. "What are you afraid of?" "Yes." Chun Shaozi, who was lectured, lowered his head and answered, "Prepare yourselves and form a formation at any time to protect me." The thunder Tao. Determination flashed in Chun Yun's eyes. After the propping mulberry tree withstood the tribulation lightning and weakened the 5-element divine lightning's might, scattering it. At that time, it would be a competition of whose thunder great Tao was stronger and whose understanding of the thunder Tao was deeper. They released their thunder Tao might. Whoever was stronger would have the opportunity to absorb the 5-element divine lightning into their body. This was not a competition of strength, but the thunder Tao. Chun Yin had diligently cultivated the thunder Tao for more than 100 years. Back then, he was also an outstanding talent of the thunder Tao. Hence, he had a special feeling for the thunder Tao. He did not believe that he could not compare to the others here. The thunder Tao experts all held their breaths and focused, storing up power in secret, waiting for the situation to develop. When the 5 elements merged and the tribulation lightning descended, inside the propping mulberry tree, Sang said somewhat worriedly, "This is problematic. I'm not sure if the propping mulberry tree can withstand this 5-element divine lightning." This was the first time Xiaochen saw Sang showing such a worried expression. This meant that the situation had reached an extremely thorny stage. "What if it cannot withstand it?" Sang rolled his eyes and asked, "What if you fail the tribulation?" Of course, the consequences of failing the tribulation would be dire. The usual outcome was death. Even if one did not die, one would be crippled. Xiaochen said somewhat awkwardly, "Could it be because of me?" Xiaochen already sensed that the propping mulberry tree had a hard time enduring the lightning tribulation early. Right now it was already much weaker. The 3 days of lightning tribulation had significantly injured it. If not for it being a divine tree, it would have turned to dust long ago. Fate has already been decided. It does not matter if you appear or not. Sang sighed softly. Even if the propping mulberry tree fails the tribulation, it can be reborn from the ashes and return to its original form. However, I'm afraid that there are other variables. This thundercloud ancient marsh has never been peaceful. What do you mean? Xiaochen asked. Sang had already mentioned this problem several times, but did not say anything. Sang dodged the question. The lightning tribulation is about to descend. Come down. It was already too late to leave. The 5 elements gathered in the sky, and the 5-element divine lightning revealed its true form. A five-colored light moved around, startling the entire Thundercloud ancient marsh. Even Thundercloud City, which was millions of kilometers away, saw this shocking scene. At this moment, the heavenly Tao's thunder might revealed its most ferocious and terrifying form. Bai Lishuan and the others, who were completely outside the range of the heavenly Tao's radiance, felt a deep fear. However, they did not show any intention of retreating. A crazed expression appeared in their eyes as they accumulated lightning-attributed energy at an even faster pace. All Thunder Tao cultivators had a state of arrogance in their bodies. They absolutely would not shrink back before an opportunity. They were like the lightning of nature, advancing only and not retreating. No matter how much effort they put in, only that moment of light existed. The moment the electric light flickered, the entire world would know of their existence. What was the Thunder Tao? Either live or die. All one sought was to do it vigorously. Even if one's body shattered, one did not care. The mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows, Bai Lishuan, Yu Yuanliang, Chen Yun and the other Thunder Tao experts, all staked their Tao on the idea of winning. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.